We have a lot of surprising news when it comes to injuries. Like these players that we thought were going to be missing are actually playing, and now you have to think about getting them in your lineup. So, and also there are some players that are not going to play. Regardless, we'll talk about it all, right? So Diami Brown listed questionable. It doesn't matter. You already had this coaching staff coming through and saying, Diami Brown misses. It's going to be Parker Washington. We're not going to feel the need to go through and get Travis Hunter more involved. The Niners don't have an exact target date for Ayuk's return just yet. Ricky Pearsall is still questionable with the knee injury. The report that we got early in the week, though, made it sound like Ricky Pearsall was going to be good to go. Juwan Jennings, Mac Jones are questionable. Honestly, it doesn't really matter with Mac Jones because Brock Purdy is no longer listed on the injury report. Brock Purdy will be good to play. And Brock Purdy in this game will be an okay, viable streamer. Like if Purdy's on your waiver wire, go ahead and pick him up. I mean, if he's off the injury report entirely, there's a chance that he's willing to go out there and run the ball as well. Now, going over and looking at Michael Mayer ruled out. So if you have Brock Bowers, obviously play Bowers. Maybe this gives a small bump up to Jacoby. Evan Ingram is going to be playing on Monday. Now, I'll update my rankings with Evan Ingram on the site. We'll show you all those rankings in the live stream tomorrow. But with Evan Ingram, I probably would not want to get him in my lineup if I were you. Noah Fant doesn't practice Friday. It looks like he's going to be missing with a concussion. But with no Burrow, it's not like we're that excited about Mike Gesicki. Darren Waller, it doesn't matter. So Justin Fields gets in another full practice on Friday. So it does sound like Justin Fields is going to be trending towards being good to go. Bill Krosky-Merritt listed questionable. He did get in a full practice. Obviously, you don't want to start him. But Jeremy McNichols, probably not a player you can look at. Chris Rodriguez, not a player you can look at. If you do have Bill Krosky-Merritt going, you really just don't want to start any of those Niners backs. Going through, Juwan Jennings he was at practice, so you're less excited to go through and just jam in Ricky Pearsall. And this is a funny quote. Jamar on Higgins' lack of involvement. I've always told him, if he wants the ball, go F and ask for it, which I have T. Higgins on my team. Higgins, please go effing ask for the ball, for the love of God. Isaiah Likely, questionable for week 4. If Likely plays, I don't want to start Andrews, even though Andrews obviously has been incredible. Xavier Worthy, not listed on the injury report. Xavier Worthy is fully good to go. Jaylen Warren is expected to play week 4 as of now, but Jaylen Warren was that late addition. Now, looking at the pick'ems on Underdog at the moment, it does seem like they are projecting out Jaylen Warren to be good to go and Jaylen Warren to be an okay start. Right now, they have him higher, lower 52.5 rushing yards, higher, lower 23.5 total receiving yards. His higher, lower total yards is 76.5, which is respectable. Obviously, it's nothing close to like the bell cows where Jordan Mason is up higher, lower 98.5 total yards. If you have Jordan Mason, for the love of God, make sure this dude's in your starting lineup. Now going over, looking at what we have with DeAndre Swift, Loveland, both are still questionable. Neighbors not listed on the injury report anymore. Devontae Adams obviously popped up on the injury report with a hamstring yesterday, but sounds like he is expected to play week 4. Kyle Pitts not on the injury reports. See if there's anything else that's worth noting here. I mean, Isaiah Likely, like we discussed, he is questionable, but he did get in the full practice. Alec Pierce ruled out for week 4. Maybe that makes you a little bit more excited about Mr. Pittman. Xavier Legette ruled out for week 4 as well. They're ruling him out with the hamstring / being the worst wide receiver in the NFL. Terry McLaurin is considered week to week. So Terry McLaurin is going to be missing this week. Jaden Daniels is going to be missing this week as well. So Mariota's under center. Deebo Samuel probably a must start wide receiver still, but obviously you'd rather have Daniels in there if you were starting Deebo. And let's see, Baker, Godwin, and Tristan Wirfs are all questionable, but they're all trending towards being good to go and playing. Let's see if there's anything else that's relevant. I think that should be about it for the injury updates, but we got a ridiculous amount of them today. Now, let me see if there's anything else we didn't discuss. Oh yeah, one thing is, I know we mentioned this yesterday in the live stream, but Underdog changed their new customer offer. For the longest time, it was you got a 50% deposit bonus. I've been on Underdog for 4 years. I wish this was the offer when I signed up, but it is what it is. I mean, obviously, I love Underdog Fantasy. Happy to be with them for 4 years. Happy to have them as the only sponsor of this channel for 4 years. But the promo they're running right now is unbelievable. It's play $5 and get $100 added into your account with code FLOCK. Literally have never heard of anything like it. But use code FLOCK. After you play your first $5, you'll get $100 added in. And then on top of that, they tweeted this out. I wasn't even aware of this. But you get a no sweat boosted token whenever you get your bonus funds back for this NFL weekend. A 50% profit boost token for the Dublin game. A Dak Prescott gimme pick for the Sunday night game. And a Bo Nix gimme pick for the Monday night game as well. I don't know how this company has money to pay me. But use code FLOCK if you haven't already. Get the $100 added in your account after you play your first 5. And again, with that as well, Underdog Fantasy is available in almost every single state. You can find the link in the description. You can find the link in the comment section. And you can find the link in the live chat. But let me go ahead and let's dive into these teams. We have a lot of teams to look at. We still have it on the site where you can really only send in free questions if you have free vouchers. I'm sorry, we just have too many, so you can't buy them at the moment. I'll let y'all know if that changes. But obviously, we're going to be giving away a ton of free questions in the live stream literally every single day that you can send in. So all you got to do is drop a like, be subscribed to the channel, and then hit the bell next to the subscribe button if you haven't already, and YouTube will tell you when we go live. But let's go ahead and let's check this out for Future Baller. Says, hey, Mason, any moves to make here? I know my wide receiver core can improve. I was thinking that maybe it would be best to see if Henderson gets more usage these next few weeks after the fumble party that occurred in week 3. I may be able to trade him. Thanks for taking the time to look at this. Really appreciate you, my guy. So we are 2-1, right? So realistically, 2-1, number 1 team in terms of total points scored so far this season. We can't just say like, oh, the only thing that matters is points this week. No, you actually have to think long-term here. We have Josh Allen at quarterback, so Caleb Williams obviously isn't much for us. I still think that Caleb Williams is in the tier of players that if you have like, I don't know, Caleb and Bo Nix, you're playing the matchups between them every single week. It's not like you have somebody that you can just auto jam regardless. So I personally would try to sell Caleb if you could when we have Josh Allen. I think tight end's going to be the biggest positional need for our team. This is a league in which you can start a combined 6 running backs and receivers weekly. Running back, we have Gibbs and Taylor, RB1, RB2. DeAndre Swift in the short term in the flex. Trevion Henderson, long term, obviously, incredible amount of upside. Going over and looking at what we have at receiver, we have Sutton, Pearsall, Olave. Obviously, no elite wide receiver 1, but it's a league in which you can start 8 players weekly, so the depth here is relevant. And then looking at tight end, we have David Njoku and Britton Strange. So I love the team. If this was a 2 wide receiver 1 flex, I think you would be highly incentivized to try to send DeAndre Swift and David Njoku to get the best tight end possible. But because you actually have the ability to start the depth running backs and receivers, here instead, I probably want to hold on to said depth. So realistically, if I were going to be doing something, I mean, if you could sell Caleb Williams and David Njoku to go get a better tight end, by all means, we'll go for it, but much, much easier said than done. Realistically, I think you have a phenomenal team, and the only thing I'm going to do is drop Blake Corum in favor of picking up Tyler Algier. But I really wish I had something to help you out with, but again, you're number 1 in the league, in a super good spot. I honestly think you roll with it from here. And yeah, the last thing that a team like you would ever want to do would be sell Trevion on the low. But really appreciate you, my guy, and really wish I was able to help you out in some way. But it looks like we just hit 100 likes on the stream. So like I said, we send out a ridiculous amount of free questions every single live stream. You can tell that the majority of the questions that we answer in these live streams are the free ones. So if you want to win one of those free questions, just go ahead, drop a like on the stream, and drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat, and we'll go ahead and we'll send out those free questions. Now, Arik Mikas says, Love the streams, 2-1, but in 7th in points for. Running backs have been buns. Bengals offense screwing me with T and Brown. Hard to make trades without overpaying due to winning the league last year by making trades. Any suggestions? Guys with all the quarterbacks has no ball knowledge, so he thinks he's getting fleeced always. Okay. So this is an 8-team start 9 format. So in general here, 8-team league, waiver wire options should be great, but start 9 format, obviously we can get a decent amount of wide receivers and running backs into the lineup weekly. Now, we are currently 5th in the league analyzer out of 8 people. We're 2-1. We've scored 381 points, so we are second to last in points scored. And yeah, Chief, this is going to be a team that needs some work. But let me go ahead and real quick send out a free question to somebody in the chat. This is going to be going to Problem Bless. My guy, really appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream, and just sent you over. Actually, I can't find you on the site. I don't know if that's just your YouTube name, that's your site name, but I can only find you on the site if you used code FLOCK. If you didn't use code FLOCK, you can add it to your account page. Over the Moon Films, I just searched you. Looks like you have 2 accounts. I'm going to send a free start sit question to the account that was created on August 17th. But anyway, getting back to this, the issue that you're going to run into with your team, Eric, is we can only start 9 guys. Looking at the squad as it stands now, you have Neighbors, Tet, Egbuka, Pearsall, Higgins, Terry, Olave. I remove Terry from it. So we have 6 startable healthy receivers. We have Kamara, Chase, Hendo, Benson. So we have like 10 startable running backs and wide receivers, not including the injured guys. And you can only start 7 of them. We have Drake May and Hunter Henry at tight end. So the massive issue that you have with your team is we have this constructed as if it's a best ball league. Like, good luck figuring out what player you should be putting inside your starting lineup every single week at wide receiver. It's going to be nearly impossible. So for me, the very clear thing to do is there any way we can trade for an elite quarterback? Is there any way that we can trade for the elite tight end? Like, whether that's us sending CeeDee Lamb and Drake May for Josh Allen, CeeDee Lamb, Drake May for Lamar Jackson, whether that's us sending Tet McMillan and Drake May for Jalen Hurts, Tet McMillan and Drake May for Jaden Daniels, whether that's us sending, I don't know, Egbuka, I'm sorry, not even Egbuka, maybe Tet McMillan and Hunter Henry to see if we can get to one of the elite tight ends, whether that's going to be Bowers or McBride. Like, that's a move that you have to make. You just have to find a way that you can sell one of these wide receivers and get an upgrade at the onesie. Like, there's no waiver wire pivot that we want to be making here. And the issue in an 8-team league like this is there's no world in which you're going to be able to go through and you're going to be able to sell like Terry McLaurin, Chris Olave. 8-team league, nobody's buying Chris Olave. So I would just try to sell one of the top end options that we have, understanding that the depth underneath is going to be able to backfill it easily. But I really appreciate you and really wish that I was able to help you out in more ways than this. But 8-team league is just kind of simple, and you have to have a better quarterback and tight end than that. Now, Kade Ferg coming through says, I feel like I'm the one trade away. I was looking at trading a combo of Kamara and another for Brees and Marv as a hold for the season. I'm 2-1, but total points are low compared to the others. I tried to get Genty for cheap, but he's a Raiders fan, so he's reluctant. Love these guys I'm with and want to win. So let's go ahead and let's check this out. We are 2-1. We are 4th in the league with value on the roster. However, we are near the bottom of the league with points scored. So realistically, maybe we are a little bit lucky with the amount of points that we've scored so far. Looking at what we have when it comes to quarterback, we have the combo of Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams. Really like to see it, right? There's not going to be much to discuss here. Obviously, we need Caleb here in the short term. Once Jaden Daniels does eventually come back, then maybe at that point you could go ahead and you could look to sell like Caleb Williams and Hunter Henry to get a better tight end. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format, right? So the depth isn't going to be too important. And I think that because the depth's not too important, what you could realistically do here is we could try to go through and we could try our best to sell one of the RBs. Like if we have Quinshon Judkins as our running back 4, is there any world in which you could go through and you could sell Quinshon Judkins and Hunter Henry to a team that really needs a running back? Like, let's sort the league analyzer by best to worst running back rooms. If this team is like Tyler Algier is their RB3. If you would be able to pick up George Kittle, like you're 2-1, so you can't afford to think about the long term here. Maybe by going through and sending like Quinshon Judkins, get back George Kittle, we play Hunter Henry in the short term and we get Kittle in the long term. I think that would be very interesting. Looking at what we have a receiver, we have Jefferson, Pickens, locked and loaded. We have a running back that we can play in the flex until Rashee Rice comes back. Once Rice comes back, obviously we're golden. So I'm sorry. I'm just sitting here thinking. What else could you realistically say with this team? 2-1. We have the long-term upside of Rice, long-term upside of Daniels, making this team even better. We get another dud performance from Calvin Ridley and Josh Downs looks good this week. I would maybe then go ahead and flip. I mean, not even trade, just cut Calvin Ridley and pick up Josh Downs for free. But that's not necessarily something that we want to be planning to do right now, of course. Give Ridley one more week here. And yeah, I think you just wait until we get the other guys back. And then if we could go ahead and send like the depth running back and go get like a long-term upside piece of George Kittle, you can afford it since you're 2-1. You have all the depth in the world. And so league where you only start 2 receivers in a flex. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. But let's move over to Raw. And real quick, we just hit 200 likes on the stream. So let's go ahead and let's send out some more free questions. And again, all you got to do to get those free questions will be to drop a like on this stream. And drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. And you know what? I was hesitant on saying if we were going to do this because it would put me in a very compromising position in terms of probably having to live stream for 5 hours a day through the rest of the year. But F it, we're going to do it anyway. Here's what we're going to do. If you sign up for Underdog Fantasy with code FLOCK, we will get you set up with some free trade question vouchers guaranteed. So the league links in the description, links in the comment section. Use code FLOCK. Make at least a $10 deposit on Underdog Fantasy as a first-time depositor. Obviously, we had the offer before the season that if you use code FLOCK and you made that deposit, you got the draft guide. But we'll do a new offer right now that if you use code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, starting today, you will get free trade and start set question vouchers hitting your account. What you'll need to do is you'll need to sign up to Underdog Fantasy with the same email address that you signed up to flockfantasy.com with. That way, whenever I send that email list to the devs, they know which account to upload that to. But the link to Underdog Fantasy is in the description, comment section, live chat. And let's send free question over to Lord's Child. Let me see if I can find you on the site now, my guy. Just found you and just sent you over that free start set question. Really appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream. And yeah, we'll do that where if you use code FLOCK on Underdog, make sure both accounts, flockfantasy.com and Underdog Fantasy, have the same email address, and we'll get sent over some free questions. And doesn't matter if you are new to flockfantasy.com or not. It can be an old account on flockfantasy.com. Okay. Now, Raw61 with our next one says, hey, Mason, thanks for all that you do for the fantasy football community. Really appreciate you, my guy. What trades should we be looking to make? I'm 1-2 in a 10-team full PPR league. So we're 1-2, but we have the second most value in this league. And also, we are in a decent little spot with points scored. Like, we're right in the middle of the league with points scored. It's a league in which you can start up to 8 players weekly. So that's going to be 6 running backs and receivers combined. We have the elite quarterback with Josh Allen. We have the elite tight end with Tyler Warren. Obviously, this kind of goes without being said, but if you could potentially go through and trade Hunter Henry with a wide receiver like Ladd McConkey to get to a wide receiver upgrade from a tight end needy team, obviously we would absolutely love doing so, but it is much, much easier said than done. Looking at what we have at running back, we have Bijan, Hubbard, Jordan Mason. So 3 locked and loaded RB1s every single week. We have Ja'Cory Cross-Garrett, Sharbs, Rashad White, Tyler Algier. So some high upside running backs that could turn into league winners in the second half of the season. Now, looking over at the wide receiver position, you have Hollywood Brown. Xavier Worthy's back, cut Hollywood Brown. Super, super easy for me to tell you to cut Hollywood, pick up RJ Harvey, because RJ Harvey is another one of these guys that could turn into a league winner as well. Now, looking at what we have when it comes to wide receiver, we have Rome Odunze, wide receiver 1, Ladd McConkey, wide receiver 2, Myers, wide receiver 3, Marv, wide receiver 4, Godwin coming back in. So incredible depth. This is an incredible team. Like, realistically, what I want to do with this team is I want to cut Hollywood. I want to pick up RJ Harvey. If we have an open IR slot, I'd want to pick up Ayuk and throw him on it, but I'd assume if you had an open IR slot, you would have probably already done that, but it's worth mentioning quickly here. And then, yeah, if you could sell like Hunter Henry and one of the wide receivers that we have in a 2-for-1 deal to go get an upgrade at wide receiver, I would absolutely love to do so. But again, like we said, that is going to be much easier said than done. But I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way with this. And again, thank you so much, of course, for being a member of the flock, my guy. And questions are not back up yet, Joe. Like I said, I'm sorry we have to go through and catch up with all the free ones. But if you have a voucher, you can send in a question. And like I said, if you use code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy and make at least a $10 deposit, you will get free questions as well tomorrow morning to be able to send in whatever live stream you want. Okay. Now, FV Coach says, thinking I need to trade out of a wide receiver to get a better tier running back. Let me know. Thanks. Thank you. So we are the Sun God Squad. We are number 1 in the league analyzer here. 12-team start 8 full PPR format. Looking at what we have here, this is a team where we're 2-1. We've scored 460 points, so we've scored the most points in this league. So we can afford to think long-term and long-term only. Quarterback, not great. We have Baker, we have Stroud. I would maybe consider cutting CJ Stroud, to be honest with you. The reason being is you could pick up Jackson Dart, and Dart does give you some rushing upside that Stroud doesn't. Like, realistically, I actually do think that it's a safe assumption to say that Stroud's probably going to be a much better quarterback than Dart. But with that being said, like, we just know he's not going to run the ball. So if you're not leading the NFL in passing, you don't have the same type of ceiling in fantasy. Now, looking at what we have at running back, we're currently sitting with Kamara, Javonte. I would say this is probably our weakest position. JCM, Caleb Johnson. Look at the running backs on the waiver wire. You have like DJ Giddens, Miles Sanders, so just the premium handcuff guys. I think realistically, your wide receiver room is so strong that there's no world in which you ever start Kayshon Boutte here. Like looking at Boutte, the guy's had a total of 3 receptions over the past 2 weeks. So I would go ahead. I would cut him. I would pick up one of the handcuff running backs, whether you want DJ Giddens, whether you want Miles Sanders. I just pick up one of those. Wide receiver, we have St. Brown, Neighbors, Tet, Egbuka. And this is a league where you can start 4 wide receivers every single week. So all these wide receivers are in a lineup, which we absolutely love. Tight end, we have the long-term upside of Kittle. We have Jake Ferg and Juwan Johnson as well. A couple different ways you can go about this. One, if your league mates understand, like, hey, Jake Ferguson's the tight end 1 currently in fantasy, while at the same time, you actually have the CeeDee Lamb injury making him even more exciting. Like, maybe you try to sell Jake Ferg with one of the running backs like Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt and go get a running back that we're super excited about. But my holdup with it is your league mates probably aren't smart enough to give you a ton of value, like give you what you would need to sell Ferg. So instead, you could maybe optimize to make a small trade selling Juwan Johnson, just getting a minor upgrade at running back. And then once George Kittle comes back, then maybe at that point deciding which one of those tight ends that we want to sell with another running back to get an RB upgrade, or at that point, maybe a QB upgrade. But clearly, tight ends where we have the expendable value here, and running back, running back and quarterback is going to be where we need to address it. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out with something here. But yeah, thank you for everything, my friend. Now let's move this over to Benner Hornet. My guy, you know I'm always excited to see you. Let me send you over some free questions real quick. It says, I think my team's okay. I traded London and Egbuka for Puka. Desperate at running back 2. Tried many trades for Trevion, Mason, Scat. No luck. I refuse to give up Tootin. This is my biggest weakness. I would appreciate any ideas on how to improve running back 2. I know we looked at a lot of trades that you had sent us over yesterday, and I liked a ton of them. So I wonder if we actually ended up pulling the trigger on any. So this is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format, right? So quarterback, tight end, going to make up a very high percentage of our starting lineup output weekly. We have the combo of Daniels and Tyler Ward here in the long term. Absolutely love to see it. Going over and looking at wide receiver, the wide receiver depth's not going to matter too much. We have Puka, we have Sutton, we have Ricky Pearsall, we have Higgins as wide receiver 4. So realistically, wide receiver are going to be completely fine. I would say the first thing that I'm going to want to do is we're going to want to cut Torrey Horton. There's no way this dude does anything for us. I would rather us go ahead and look to get in maybe like Tyler Algier onto the bottom end of our roster, because if you were to get an injury to Bijan Robinson, and then at that point we know that Tyler Algier is going to be just an absolute must start running back. We're like, if JSN goes down, it's not like you're putting in Torrey Horton, right? You're never starting that dude. So I'd cut Horton. I'd pick up Tyler Algier. And then almost all those trades that you had sent, I really liked. Like, I don't think you need to be so held up on trading by Shell 2, especially if you're 1 and 2, because if you can get a deal that you like that upgrades running back 2 for you in the short term, keeps you in it, you have so much long-term upside with this team. Like, frankly, you have the number 1 and the number 2 players in fantasy football. You have the combination of both Christian McCaffrey and Puka Nacua. And long-term, we have an elite quarterback and an elite tight end. So it all comes down to, is there a way that you can upgrade running back to? And don't let buy Shell Tootin stop you from doing that. Almost every trade that you sent me yesterday, I really liked. And then I would also, like I said, drop Torrey Horton, pick up Tyler Algier, just to give you another out at potentially hitting on a free running back 2 that could turn into a league winner, which obviously in that instance, what it would take is it would take a pretty significant injury to Bijan Robinson. But if Bijan were to go down, then at that point, you can just go ahead and jam in Tyler Algier every week. But I really appreciate you. Like I said, I just sent you over some more of those free questions. So I'm always happy to look at anything that you got for me, my guy. Now let's move this over to Post Dylan. Always happy to see you. Long time member of the flock here. Says, hey, Mason, what are your thoughts on the team? Wanted to go out and try to get Lamb for the team. Wondering if we should wait to do so. I have a trade offer receiving Rice and Jacobs for Devontae, QJ, and Judkins. You go get Rice and Jacobs right this second, unless you're like 0-3, but you're 3-0, my guy. So that is a phenomenal move if you can get Rashee Rice. Hopefully you've already made this trade when we pull this up. We have not made it. We still have the big Q on the roster. You know, nobody likes the big Q as much as I do, but still you have to make that deal. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. So looking at our team, obviously, really like having the elite quarterback, really like having the elite tight end here. We have Lamar Jackson and we have Trey McBride. So we are fully optimized for this format as is. We go over and we look at what we have at running back. We have the elite RB with Bijan Robinson, Brees quality RB2, Judkins quality RB3, RJ Harvey and Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt RB4, RB5 on a 3-0 team for the long term. You love to see it. Going over and looking at what we have at wide receiver, we have Devontae Adams, we have Devonta Smith, we have QJ, we have Ridley, we have Jennings, we have Tillman. So wide receiver, not the best, but again, this is a league where at the very most, you can only start 3 wide receivers. You combine that with the fact that this is a team in which we have a running back that we can jam in the flex spot every single week. So I think the only thing to do here realistically is make that Rice deal that you were talking about. There are quality players you can pick up off waivers. If you needed another wide receiver to start, I would probably go ahead and I would probably pick up Khalil Shakir. If you were looking for another guy such as RJ Harvey or Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt that gives you some long-term upside on a 3-0 team at running back that could turn into a league winner, you can go ahead and pick up Byshell Tune. That would be another very exciting play. And honestly, I'd be completely fine cutting Cedric Tillman right now for Byshell Tune. But yeah, phenomenal team, my guy. I think you've optimized for the format incredibly well. I think there's a reason that you're 3-0, and you can definitely afford going out there and getting Rashee Rice. But let me go ahead and let me send over some free questions to people in the chat. Looks like we just hit 300 likes on the stream, so let's go ahead and let's send out some more free questions. Again, you can tell the majority of questions I answer in this live stream are the free ones. We always do. All you got to do to get those free questions will be drop a like on the stream, be subscribed to the channel, drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat, and we go ahead and we pick out somebody all the time to send these free questions to. And then, like I said as well, right now, Underdog is doing a massive push. They have a bunch of stuff going on. One thing that they have is, which they've never done anything like this. If you use code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, after you play your first $5, you will get $100 added in your account. And on top of that as well, they have multiple promos they're doing this weekend. A no sweat token for the NFL weekend, 50% profit boost for the Europe game, Dak Prescott gimme pick for Sunday night, Bo Nix gimme pick for Monday night. And if you use code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, not only get the $100 bonus, all those promos, but you'll also get free questions for these live streams. Just make sure that you have an account set up on flockfantasy.com with the same email address that you signed up to Flock Fantasy. Make sure the email addresses match both Underdog and flockfantasy.com. That way the devs know who to get the free questions to. But let's send this over to Pedro here. This is, let me see if I can find you on the site. I cannot find you, my friend. I don't know if you used code FLOCK when you signed up to the site, but if not, you can add that to your account page. That way I can find you on my users page from now on. Let's send this over to Bald Mason. Just sent you that start set question. Really appreciate you always hanging out in the live stream, my guy. Okay, so let's move this over to our next team. This is going to be from Vision, and this actually is screenshots, so we'll get to that in just 1 second. I'm going to have to pull that up on another monitor Chris says, hey, Mason, 1 and 2. Hope to push through until Rice returns, but I need a wide receiver too. How to improve the team going forward? So we are Lamb of God. All right. So we are the 9th team in the league analyzer at the moment. It's a league in which you start 2 receivers and a flex. We are 1 and 2. We've scored 285 points, which is actually the lowest amount of any team in the league. So you are on red alert, my friend. If you have scored the fewest amount of points in your league, and we have both Rashee Rice and CeeDee Lamb, I am sorry, but you are going to have to make a trade. There's no getting around this. So if we go ahead and we look at what we have in our starting lineup this week, you have Hampton, Kenneth Walker, Chase Brown, running back in the flex. Wide receiver, you have Egbuka and Christian Kirk. That's our play on a 1 and 2 team where we need a win right now. We're rostering 3 tight ends. You can't do this. You need, and I mean you need, to go out there and trade one of these injured guys. Injured/suspended. I would go ahead. I would try to send CeeDee Lamb and Kyle Pitts, or CeeDee Lamb and Hunter Henry. Really, either one of these players. It doesn't matter. You can start the other tight end. To just go get a wide receiver that's in the tier of Lamb that is actually playing. Go send Lamb and Hunter Henry to see if we can, in return, get back Nico Collins. Get back Jefferson. Get back Chase. Just find one of those wide receivers that we can put into our lineup right now. Send Rashee Rice and Kyle Pitts and go get Garrett Wilson. You don't have to make both these trades. You don't have to sell both Rice and Lamb, but you need to sell at least one of them. Like, you're not going to be able to go into I don't know. You're not going to be able to go into week 4 with Christian Kirk as your wide receiver too, where we've scored the fewest amount of points in our league and we need a win right now. Like, you got to make a play. And making that play is selling Rice and Pitts for Garrett Wilson, selling Lamb and Hunter Henry for Nico Collins. Whatever it is, you need to go through and you need to do it so we can get a wide receiver in this lineup. And then obviously we're not stressing about quarterback. We're not stressing about running back. That's going to be just fine. If nobody wants to trade for a tight end, you may end up just needing to cut one of these guys. We can't roster 3. I'd rather roster somebody like Rachaad White. That's an injury away from turning into a league winner. But I think that's all I got for you. I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. But, yeah, thank you again for hanging out with us in this live stream. Now let's move this over to Storms. Says, feels like I picked every bust, 0-3 and playing the first week, who has CMC and Puka. So potentially 0-4. Needing win now moves, but don't know what they would be. Have offered Nico and Scad for Puka. Awaiting an answer for that. I've also been offered Addison for Warren. No. Do not trade for freaking Jordan Addison. So we are the Storm team. Right now, we change our team name? Actually, I'm going to have to pull up your team name on the other screen. I'm sorry. This is going to be a super flex league, so I would say in general, don't stress too much when it comes to what you have with the overall ranking in the league analyzer. Instead, I would mainly just focus in on what we have when it comes to we are Sidarius. I would just focus in on what we have when it comes to the positional rankings. So we are 8th at quarterback in a 10-team league. That's no bueno. We're starting May as QB1, 10-team league, not great. Jordan Love, QB2 is whatever. Running back, we have Jahmyr Gibbs, we have Chase Brown, we have Judkins, we have Trey Benson, we have Scat, we have Warren. So if Jalen Warren's our RB6, here's the thing, man. You need to trade one of these running backs with a quarterback to go get a QB upgrade. Like, we should be able to find a better quarterback here, no? Let's go ahead and let's sort the teams that are worst at running back in this league. This team here at the bottom is like Brees, Etienne, Ramadre. They lost James Conner. Hell, I would try to send them Jahmyr Gibbs and I would try to send them Jahmyr Gibbs and Jordan Love for Josh Allen in a Superflex league. I would try to send them Chase Brown and Drake May. I mean, you're not gonna get that, but if you could, my initial offer is, hey, I'll give you Chase Brown and Drake May for Josh Allen. I'll give you Quinshon Judkins. I'll give you Cam Scat. When they say no, obviously they're going to make us go up to the really exciting range. They're going to make us sell Jahmyr Gibbs. We're willing to do it. Don't get me wrong. Looking at what we have at wide receiver, like Xavier Worthy, Travis Hunter coming back in. Like, a wide receiver is okay. Tight end's obviously not great. I would consider picking up Zach Ertz, especially as we have the Terry McLaurin injury. So Zach Ertz should just naturally be getting funneled more targets. But, like, it's very hard to cut somebody here unless you're going to be cutting Harold Fannin. But you have to do what you can, no matter what, to sell some of this running back depth that's on your bench. If Jalen Warren's your RB6, we're not wanting to send Jalen Warren just straight up for Jordan Addison. That doesn't accomplish anything. Jordan Addison would also go to our bench. And if we were looking to put one of those guys in our flex spot, we'd rather flex Jalen Warren, right? So what we need to do is we need to try to find a way to sell like Jalen Warren and Ladd McConkey for a better wide receiver in our lineup. Or Jahmyr Gibbs and Drake May to go get the elite quarterback like Lamar. I mean, I wouldn't want to send him with May, like Jordan Love or Michael Penix. Like, you can go Jahmyr Gibbs and Michael Penix to get to Lamar, get to Josh Allen. We'd want to do that. And obviously, if you're watching this as a live stream, like somebody random here, this is a super flex league. Don't do that in your one quarterback format. But I really appreciate you, my guy. You just have to sell one of those running backs. You have to get somebody in here that's going to help you right now. Now let's move this over to Skull Vikes. So it's traded Jalen Ward and Pickens for Kenneth Walker and Rashee Rice. Also traded A.J. Brown and Etienne for Jefferson. Ooh. Tillman for Pacheco. I love your move. Yeah, there's no way that you weren't the number one team in the league in value at this point, right? We're 3-0 as well. We've scored 383 points. So honestly, we're a lucky 3-0. We're like in the middle of this league in terms of total points scored. But 3-0 roster, what are we thinking about? We're thinking long-term upside. What does this team have already? Long-term upside. We already have Rashee Rice. We already have a couple rookies. We already have Mixon. We already have Amari. Like, we already have these players who should get better as time goes on. And we're 3-0. We have the elite quarterback with Jalen Hurts. For me, personally, like, I don't necessarily think you need a roster a second quarterback here if you have Jalen Hurts. Now, I understand that it's not like we are super strong when it comes to options on the waiver wire at QB. So if you wanted to hold on to Jackson Dart, if everybody in your league rosters two guys, And if you could eventually flip Jackson Dart for a profit, by all means, go for it. But not necessarily something you need to do. Going over and looking at what we have at running back. We have Rachaad White, Dylan Sampson, Caleb Johnson out there on waivers. I would for sure go out there and pick up Rachaad White. I would cut Troy Franklin. Your team's so good, man, that like realistically, I don't see a world in which you put Troy Franklin in your starting lineup. But if you're looking at what we have when it comes to Rachaad White, if you get a Bucky Irving injury, then Rachaad White's for sure hitting your lineup. Rachaad White would be an elite player at that point. Going over looking at receiver, we have Neighbors, we have Jefferson, 2 locked and loaded wide receiver ones. We get Rashee Rice here for the long-term upgrade. We get a Buka to crush in the short and long term. Tight end's not great. Like long-term, once maybe you end up getting Rashee Rice back, then maybe at that point we could go ahead and we could look to possibly sell one of the depth skill positional guys and get a better tight end. But realistically speaking, it's a start 8 format, so the skill positional depth's going to matter here. It's not like we can just say, oh, yeah, just go. Like, no, you definitely at the very minimum would need to wait till Rice comes back. You may even want to wait beyond then. So I love your team. Literally the only thing I do is I would drop Troy Franklin. I'd pick up Rachaad White. And like I said, I would also consider maybe dropping like Jackson Dart for Caleb Johnson if you have the Jalen Warren injury lingering. But I think that's it. Now, I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way, my friend. Now, let's move this over to our next question. It's going to be coming out from Jesus. Says, hey, Mason, keep up the great work. Just wanted to see how we can upgrade my team in terms of my wide receivers, or if you have any advice. That'd be very much appreciated. I'm currently 1 and 2. Thank you. Thank you, my guy. So we are the Mustard Cartel. We are 3rd in this league analyzer. I would say the first thing that I'm going to do is I would drop Troy Franklin. I'd pick up Josh Downs. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. So in terms of quarterback, tight ends, we have the elite QB. We have the elite tight end mattering a ton here. And we have Lamar Jackson and Brock Bowers. So you love to see it. This team's number 1 in the league in points scored, yet somehow we're 1 and 2. Going over and looking at what we have at running back, Bijan, Jordan Mason, auto locks in the short term. Obviously, long term with Jordan Mason, we'll have to reevaluate when Aaron Jones comes back. But for now, looks absolutely incredible. Brees for a flex. We have Rome, Marv, Higgins, Pittman, Waddle. So like we have a lot of wide receiver depth, but we don't necessarily have like the wide receivers we're really excited about getting the lineup right now. Your team, there's a reason you're number 1 in this league in points scored. I'm trying to think here for you, my friend. If you could do a simple 2-for-1 deal just to package together receivers and get an upgrade, like that's great. But it's a league in which everybody's only starting 2 receivers in a flex, so it's maybe hard to see somebody needing the depth at the position. Let's go through and let's see if we can find a team that could potentially do that. Like this team doesn't have a lot of depth. If you wanted to try to send them like Marvin Harrison and Michael Pittman or T. Higgins at Pittman and go get George Pickens, I'd really like it. Or if you can get like Egbuka for T. Higgins and Pittman, I would like that as well. That team has depth. This team had the Terry McLaurin injury, so there's an outside chance that they actually need some depth. Maybe if you wanted to try to send like Rome Odunze and T. Higgins to get to Justin Jefferson, I think that would be very appealing. This team here is Cup wide receiver 3. I'll try to send that same deal. I'll try to send like Rome and Pittman for Nico Collins. But the issue is there are always only a few teams in your league that would ever need wide receiver depth in a format like this. This team is A.J. Brown and like Calvin Ridley is their wide receiver 3. Maybe they need help. Maybe you try to send them like T. Higgins and Michael Pittman for A.J. Brown, see what they say. But frankly, like that's the only play that you would want to make. It's just going to be, it's always much easier said than done to try to sell 2 wide receivers and just get a better wide receiver back. It's generally much easier if you were to go through it, if you were to like have an extra running back depth piece and we can sell that running back depth piece with the wide receiver to get a better wide receiver in return. But that's not so much the case here. Now, I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way with this, my friend. And yeah, again, thank you so much for being a member of the flock. Now, let's move this over to our next one. Not Slum says, Mason, when can we submit start set questions to you again? I'm sorry, I'll let y'all know for sure when we have them where you can purchase them again. Right now, you do need a voucher. I will say we are doing the new promo starting today that if you sign up to Underdog Fantasy with code FLOCK, you will get free vouchers added to your accounts. Plus, that's right in line with the same time Underdog's doing the promo that if you use code FLOCK after you play your first $5, you're also going to get $100 added into your account. So definitely take advantage of that if you haven't already. But just make sure if you wanted those free questions, you get the your accounts on flockfantasy.com and Underdog, the email addresses match so we know what email to essentially get the free vouchers for. Okay. Now, too easy coming through. This is Tony's taking KC. We are third in value. Pretty good team here, 377 points. So we are second in the league in points scored. However, with that being said, you're in maybe a little bit of a shaky spot when it comes to the record. Somehow we are 1-2 despite scoring the second most points so far in this league. We have Caleb, Justin Fields at quarterback. So we can effectively just play the matchups here at the quarterback position, right? Is it the most exciting thing in the world? No, but I mean, Caleb looks like he has upside, so we're completely fine with it. Now, going over and looking at what we have with running back, we are rolling with Jahmyr Gibbs, Travis Etienne, Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, Byshell Tootin, Braylon Allen. So the running back depth maybe is a question mark, but it's a league in which you only start 2 receivers in a flex. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown. So here's the thing. You're probably going to end up having to make a trade just because we're 1-2. It sucks. You're second in this league in points scored. You would hope that you're in a fine spot when it comes to like being able to wait for long-term upside, but we've gotten unlucky. We've dropped 2 of the first 3 weeks, and then we had the Mike Evans injury. So realistically, you're probably in a spot in which you need to go through and you need to get some points in this lineup now. So what I would try to do in that instance is I would try to go ahead and I would try to see if we could sell either Mike Evans or Rashee Rice. You don't need to sell both. You just kind of need one wide receiver here to fill the lineup. But if you could send like DJ Moore and Mike Evans just to pivot over to a wide receiver that we're actually excited about starting right now. If you can go like DJ Moore and Mike Evans to get to Cortland Sutton, it's going to put you in a much better spot. If you could sell Mike Evans straight up for Jacoby Myers to get us through until the Rashee Rice suspension's over. Sell Mike Evans and DJ Moore for George Pickens. I think your hand's going to be a little bit forced here in a way in which you may end up just being forced to have to go through and have to actually sell one of these long-term pieces at a slight loss just to make sure we say it. Just to make sure we stay in it for right now. If you were 2-1, I wouldn't want to do that, but like maybe flip Mike Evans for Ricky Pearsall. Flip Mike Evans for Ladd McConkey if possible. Mike Evans and DJ Moore to get to Igbuka. Mike Evans and DJ Moore to try to get to Tet. Like I would be spamming your league mates with those kind of offers and hoping that just one of them accepts. But I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. And again, I hate to say it, but having Evans, Rice on the same team where you are 1 and 2, it just does put you in a little bit of a tough spot. But I really appreciate you, of course. Now, it does look like we just hit 400 likes on the stream. So let's go ahead and let's send out some more free questions in the chat. Again, all you got to do to get those free questions, we're giving away a ton of free ones every single day in this live stream. You can tell the majority of the questions that we answer here are free. I'm going to live stream every single day answering fantasy football questions until Christmas. Drop a like on the live stream. Be subscribed to the channel and then drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. And make sure if you use code FLOCK when you have set up that account. That way, if you win that free question, I'm able to find you on my account page. Okay. But let me go over and see. Pull that page up. We got CKN BCN Ranch. It's CKN BC Chicken Bacon Ranch. Just found you, my friend. And just sent you over that free start set question. Really appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream. Okay. And let's pivot over and let's answer some of the fast questions. These are going to be the start set questions. These are going to be the trade questions as well. This is Jay Tolan here, needing tight end between Juwan Johnson and Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews had 7 receiving yards combined in the first 2 weeks. I would be very scared to put Mark Andrews in my lineup. I personally would go ahead and I would honestly just kind of easily jam in Juwan Johnson between the two. Okay. So let's move this over. Nader Ains coming through. Quarterback, we have no Burrow. So I think you go Love over Young given the matchup. Wide receiver, you got to play Tet. You have no Terry. For the flex, I think I go Swift. If Swift doesn't play, though, you pivot to Pollard. But Swift's going to be in a much better offense than Pollard. Now, Solis says 2-point PPR for tight ends instead of 1.5. Interesting. I mean, Hunter Henry versus Sam Laporta, and if this is Dynasty truly, yeah, this is truly Dynasty. Obviously, you'd rather have Laporta in that instance. Redraft, it's like, I don't know. Puka Nacua versus Achane Purdy, Super Flex League. My brain is so removed from Dynasty at the moment. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. Where I've answered 1,000 redraft questions since I've looked at a Dynasty trade. So I don't know if I'm going to be the best person to answer this. But here's my thought process for now. Puka Nacua may be the new wide receiver 1 in Dynasty. He may be the most valuable non-quarterback in Dynasty fantasy football. So And the Hunter Henry production's just as good as the Laporta production for now. But that could just be my redraft brain talking. Now, Chelsea fan coming through. No, I think I may end up going with Igbokwe over Kamara. Like, I think you probably have to, no? I mean, if we're going to be looking at the two of them. Igbokwe, you have no Evans. And Godwin hasn't even been ruled that he's playing yet. Assuming that Baker's good to go, we're going to go with Igbokwe. Now, Bitter Hornet says, had an inquiry about Rice. I need at least Gibbs back. Rice going to be top 10 value. So if I were to look at this, I would say there's no way they accept this, to be honest. I mean, it's the Jahmyr Gibbs side by a mile. If you're selling Rice, J-Mo, and Chase Brown for Gibbs, Igbokwe, and McBride, if you want to have any shot at getting this accepted, I think they have to keep Trey McBride. But, I mean, if you are able to make the deal, then obviously I want to take it and I want to run. For sure. But let's go over to Bryn is able trading Chase Brown for Keenan. I'm an idiot. I'd still rather have Chase Brown. I know the offense is horrendous. I know the offensive line is horrendous. But you're still looking at a running back that's getting all of the opportunities. Now, Richie Salim is trading Lamb for Ladd and Jennings. 14-team format. Right now we have Tet Sutton to start. We have Kyron Hampton. We don't really have a flex. I understand 14-team league. Depth's going to be harder to come by. But I think you need to ask for more. Only way I do this deal is if it's like, hey, I'm 0-3 and I have no shot to do anything unless I start winning games, and that's the absolute best price I'm going to get for Lamb. If that's your scenario, then then you probably do it. But I would assume that somebody could get you something better. Now, BD Trades is trading Chase Brown, Igbokwe, and Jake Ferg for James Cook. It's a 10-team league. We'd be starting Jacobs, James Cook, Tet, Adams, Chase, and then like Godwin or Rice in the long term. We have Tyler Warren tight end. I think you can do this. I would probably prefer waiting a little bit of time until we're closer to getting like Rice back, though, if possible. Okay. Joey, no, trade questions are not turned back on. BD Trades, looking at Chase Brown, Godwin, Jake Ferg versus Amari and Hampton. Let's look at the two of these. I would rather have the James Cook deal between the two of them. Again, I know that y'all cannot pay for questions from me on the site. It is intentionally turned off. But I promise you, I will turn them back on when we catch up, and I will let you know when they are turned back on. We are giving away free vouchers in the chat. If you just hang out with us in the live stream, there's a good shot that you win them. You can tell the majority of these questions that we answer, they are free. And you could also get free vouchers if you use code FLOCK and signed up to Underdog Fantasy. Now, Chazzy trading Walker and Jefferson for Puka Nacua. Yeah, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, you for sure make this deal. Puka is a completely different tier at this point. McDowell's trading Worthy for Benson. I would still rather have Benson. Now, Worthy, they're telling us that he is good to go. They've removed him from the injury report. But I don't know how confident we can be with that. real quick. Let me move this over. And Benson, obviously the game script is horrible, but he still had the workload that you would have wanted. Now, Yulo says, trying to dig the way out of the Chase Burrow hole. What do you think? A 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. Right now we're starting Chase, Adams, Hampton. So here's the thing. I think honestly you're losing value, but your flex is garbage. Like Ladd McConkey would be in a dramatic improvement for your flex. I would rather wait a week before we would make this move. But you probably could use the extra starter. And so, yeah, I think you can go with this if you wanted. Now, C. Mako, here at wide receiver, Jennings practiced. If Jennings plays, I'll play him over Ridley. If Jennings plays, I'd go Ridley in the flex. But if Jennings misses, then obviously you're going to have to go Pacheco. But any sane person would do anything that they could to avoid starting Isaiah Pacheco. Okay. Now, Notorious is trading Javonte for Tet. In general, I'd rather have Tet. Are you okay at running back? You can't make this deal. Are you telling me that you're excited about the idea of starting Isaiah Pacheco? You want to have Isaiah Pacheco as your running back too in the year of 2025? So no. You need to go ahead and you need to okay. Yeah, you need to hold on to Javonte Williams. Even if I have Ted as the better player, like he's higher in my rankings, you're not in a position where you can make this trade. Okay. Now, waiver wire merchant with our next one. Quarterback, give me Herbert over Bo, even though Bo has a great matchup. And then, yeah, we probably leave the flex as is with Sutton. Now, Jay Hersmino. Going Harrison to Benson, lateral move. Daniels to London, probably an upgrade. So, yeah, I'd be fine making this move if you wanted. Now, if you think that Marv has turned the corner and Marv is an every week starter and he's not just a flex consideration play at this point, then you don't make this trade. But I'm not buying into Marv that way, personally. Okay, now Nate coming through. Quarterback, give me May over Purdy. Running back, give me Chase Brown. And then in the flex, we will take Scat Attack. Jason T. trading Josh Allen, DK Metcalf, Tyler Warren for Derrick Henry and Garrett Wilson. How desperate are you for running back? Running back, we have Pacheco as our running back 2 right now. Who do you have at tight end? David Njoku, who could you pick up at quarterback off waivers? Kyler Murray, you can pick up Kyler off waivers. Yeah. And you're starting Isaiah Pacheco right now? Sure. Go ahead and get Derrick Henry here. Let's move this over to our next one. This is Tontu. Trading Baker, Judkins, Hunter for Hurts and Godwin. Hunter to Godwin upgrade, Baker and Judkins versus Hurts. I'd take this deal. Seems like a very fair price point to me. Now, Durf Sanders Wide receiver, you have no Lamb this week. I would start JMO and Olave. And then, yeah, I'd bench Worthy for all these guys. Like, I hope I'm wrong. I hope Worthy comes in and makes some of our our basketball teams relevant again. But it's encouraging, of course, that they have him just completely off the injury report. Like, you like seeing that. But I'm skeptical. I want to see it before I believe it. Okay, so this one coming from Vinny. Vinny, always happy to see you. I'm going to play Hendo here in the flex over like Keon Coleman. Again, I would just assume that after the continued fumbles from last season that we are getting with Ramondre Stevenson, there's no way that Henderson doesn't play more this year. Now, Louis trading Igbuka for Rashee Rice. You have Puka, Rome starting at wide receiver. We'd have H. Yeah, you have plenty of... I would do this if I was 3-0 or 2-1. If you have a losing record, you can't. Booty Hurts, Soshi Waddle is trading Hurts, Brees, Braylon, London, Waddle for Taylor Tet. Here's the thing, my guy. You trade away Waddle, or you're going to have to change your name. London to Tet, downgrade. Everything else to Jonathan Taylor. Give me Jonathan Taylor. You'd have Drake May at quarterback left over. I would take this deal, and you probably just have to change your name. Now, Mikey trading Achane and Rice for Hampton and London. Two wide receiver, one flex. Right now, we're starting Jefferson, Metcalf. Running back, we have Brees, Achane. Flex, we have Benson. So I think you have enough production at the moment to actually get away with holding on to Rashee Rice here. I don't think you need to make a trade, to be honest. Now, the man with the plan is trading Henry, Chase, Rice for Nico, Ferg, Judkins. Chase to Nico, lateral move. Henry to Judkins, massive downgrade. Rice to Ferg, downgrade. Yeah, I'd way rather have the Chase side of this. Okay, let's refresh. Now, Wicked Duck says trade Chase Brown for Montgomery. I'm 2-1. We have Allen, Dobbins, James Cook, Igbuka, Keenan, Lamb, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Tyler Warren. I don't know why we would do this. I mean, I understand why we would do it. David Montgomery's the RB8 in fantasy at the moment, and Chase Brown's been the worst running back in the NFL. So, like, I actually fully understand the thought process. But for me, I think the Bengals offense can get a little bit better. While at the same time, Chase Brown's been getting like 20 opportunities a game. Now, Educated Planunia is trading the big Q for Pollard, essentially. Goddard's like a waiver wire player. It doesn't really matter. Who do you have at running back? Genty, Hampton, Harvey. We lost Tracy. Wide receiver, we have Tet, Jefferson, Nico. So it's like essentially who do you want in the flex here? I'm fine if you want to go get Pollard. I have Pollard ranked over Quentin Johnston. I don't necessarily think that you need a running back, though. Like, you're kind of fine either way with this. Okay, now, K9X. Running back. Give me Hampton, Jordan Mason. Wide receiver, Igbuka, Neighbors. Tight end, Juwan. And then in the flex, we're just going to take both wide receivers here in a full PPR format, London and Sutton. Now, Eusebio trading Warren and Genty for Achane. Leftover, we'd have Achane, Kamara, Jordan Mason, some wide receivers to throw in the flex. So I think you can make this move. If you want to get out of the Raiders offense at this cost, I'm not going to fault you for it. Okay. Now, NJ Cortez, running back. We have Swift, Hendo. I'm going to go Hendo long-term, Swift this week. Tight end, give me probably Zach Ertz over Pitts now that Terry is officially ruled out. But it's going to be close. And then for the flex, T. Higgins or Henderson. I don't know, Chief. Like, it is going to be up to you. I'm playing Higgins this week, but it is so rough. I have them in the same tier in my flex ranks, full PPR format. I would probably go Higgins, but it's extremely close. It is really close here. Now, our next question is going to be from Combat. Says, the numbers, Mason, 2 running back, 2 receiver, and a flex. Who to trade for Rice? So I'm assuming here for what we're doing in terms of the starting lineup. Kamara, Mason, running back, wide receiver, Neighbors, Pickens, Tet, and the flex. And then if you wanted to make a trade for Rashee Rice, like if you could send Ricky Pearsall, if you could send Brian Thomas for Rashee Rice, it's like if you're not starting these guys right now anyway, then obviously we're good just waiting for the long-term upside that we are going to get with Rice in that case. Now, Dynasty TY says, was offered this, should I do a 1-for-1 counter? Running back at the moment, we're not great. So for me, I would just go ahead. I would trade Ibuka for Genty. Obviously, Genty looks really bad. Ibuka looks good. But in the long term here, you're eventually going to get Mike Evans. You will eventually get Chris Godwin back fully healthy at the same time. So I would go Genty myself. Now, Peace Swoop coming through. Here for the flex. I'm going to go Genty. Again, I understand that Genty's been horrendous. But realistically, if you are looking at what we have with this game against the Chicago Bears, the Raiders project to score actually a decent amount of points. And Genty would be the only running back to possibly score any points here. Now, looking at Angelus, we have Brian Robinson Ibuka versus JCM and AJ Brown. I would rather have AJ Brown here. Like realistically, my rankings this week, I have Ibuka higher than AJ Brown, but if we think through this for the long term, you're going to look at Mike Evans and Chris Godwin eventually both being healthy in Tampa. Eventually it will happen. I don't exactly know when. See, I would rather just take A.J. Brown. We've seen such a large sample with A.J. Brown at this point being viable. I know 2 weeks this year he's been horrendous, but still. Okay. Now, it looks like we just hit 500 likes on the stream, so let's go ahead and let's send out some more free questions here. And again, we're sending out free questions in the live stream nonstop every single day. You can tell the majority of the questions that we answer in all these streams are free. All you got to do to get them, drop a like and drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. Completely free to have an account on the site. And if you wanted to get guaranteed free questions, if you sign up to Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK and make at least a $10 deposit, we will go ahead and get you sent over some free questions as well to your account. You can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the description, in the live chat, in the comment section as well. And again, Underdog's also doing that offer where if you, after you play your first $5 with code FLOCK, you are actually going to get $100 added to your Underdog Fantasy account. And you can find everything on Underdog Fantasy over here. But let me find somebody to send out that free question to. We got Master Debater. Let me send this over to you, my guy. Really appreciate you hanging out with us in the stream. Master. I cannot find you on the site. I don't know if you used code FLOCK when you signed up, but you need to have code FLOCK in your account if I'm going to find you on my users page. Let's see if we have Alan R. Is it Alan R? Yeah, I cannot find you either, my guy. Again, y'all can add code FLOCK to your account page if you haven't had it already. Let's instead move over to F. Murphy. Just found you, my friend, and just sent you over that free start sit question. Appreciate you hanging out with us in this stream. Now, let's move this over to Young Stowe. Pollard and Lamb versus Hindo and Tyreek. So downgrade at wide receiver to upgrade at running back. Wide receiver, we have the Evans injury as well. So here's the thing, man. You're losing value. Like, you're losing this trade in the long run. But with that being said, if you're 0-3, you lost Evans and Pollard, you may not have another option. I'm sorry, you lost Evans and Lamb. You may have to make the move. But you're losing value here. So this would have to, like, I'm going to mark the Lamb side as the winner. So this would have to be like last resort. Now, Jimbotron coming through. Quarterback, give me Daniel Jones over Goff. For the flexes, we're going to go Debo and probably Nick Chubb, as much as I hate it, but the Texans are pretty heavily favored here. Now, Tony 2 times. For the flex, I'm going to go Chase Brown over JMO and just get the guaranteed volume, even if he's been very bad with said volume. Lucas says, Mason, how can I claim the question vouchers from Underdog? Essentially, how it's going to work is set up the same email address. Like, they have to be matching email addresses, right, to underdogfantasy.com. But Underdog will send us the list of email addresses from the people who signed up today in the morning. I'm going to forward the email list over to a dev on flockfantasy.com. He'll upload it and it will award the vouchers to your account if one of the email addresses matches an account that's on the site. So just make sure that you have an account set up with the same ones, if that makes sense. But let's move over to our next question, which is going to come out from Boban. Here, wide receiver, give me Igbuka. For the flex, I'm going to go Garrett Wilson over Waddle and Brian Thomas. Now, Daddy Geis, here for the flex, Brian Thomas is maybe the best option to get in your lineup. And for me, I think that I would realistically play Brian Thomas over Matthew Golden. At least you are getting the volume. Okay. Now, our next question is coming out from E-Rich. For the flex, we're looking at Xavier Worthy or Golden. I think both have incredibly low floors. Again, I would say both probably fall in a range of guys that I probably wouldn't want to put in my starting lineup until we actually see them. But if I had to roll the dice on just the ceiling of one player, we've seen Xavier Worthy been a great fantasy wide receiver before. Okay. FTB Fantasy trading Chuba for Ladd. I have them ranked similarly. I have Chuba ahead. Running back, we're solid. Wide receiver, we have Igbuka, JSN, London. So we're solid at both positions. I'm not going to mark either side as a winner. I don't necessarily think you need either position. I have them ranked very similarly. It's going to be up to your personal preference. Now here for C. Wary, we have Chase Brown currently probably is the best option in the flex that we could get in. And I don't know if we start him over anybody that's in our lineup right now. So I think you probably leave this as is. Teresa, always happy to see you. Let me make sure that you have enough vouchers to always be able to send something in if you want. So many injuries. Jaden Daniels both out. Surviving on a prayer, needs some help here. So Hollywood is not going to be playable considering Worthy's in. So I think that it's just going to be simple. You got to play Flowers. Obviously, Flowers very disappointing this past week in what should have been a great spot against the Lions. But the Chiefs are one of the few teams that, in theory, should be able to keep up with the Baltimore Ravens, who, from a per-play perspective, have the best offense in the NFL. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Flowers in the flex. I don't even know who the next best play would be. Maybe Diggs? But Stephon Diggs just simply isn't out there playing enough snaps. Now, E-Rich with our next one is playing trading Harvey and Brian Thomas for London. Running back, we don't have a lot of depth. I mean, I think value-wise, the London side's going to win this for me. But I would want to backfill with the running back depth piece from waivers. Now, Bitter Hornet says, still desperate at running back 2. Hate to give up Tyler Warren. Torrey Orton's a 0. We're trading Tyler Warren for like Jawan and Judkins. This is my least favorite of the trades that you sent me. I think it's fair value if this is like the only one that ends up getting accepted, or is the only one that you end up doing. But I know we looked at your team earlier in this stream. This one's maybe my least favorite of any of the trades that you've sent me so far. Okay. David Valdez trading Rice for Brian Thomas and Harvey. We have Neighbors, St. Brown, Olave, Hampton, Brees, Etienne. So here's the thing, man. Like, I understand, like, if we have a bad record, right, needing to go through and needing to sell Rice and getting a better option inside our starting lineup. But realistically, does Brian Thomas even hit your lineup here? Like, your team is so strong that I would guess that this makes no impact. I'm not even saying your team's so strong. It's more so like your team has so much depth. Like, why does this even matter? So if you're selling Rice again, I like the idea. If maybe you're 1 and 2, you're 0 and 3, we need points right now. But you may need to be selling Rice in like a 2-for-1 deal to get something better inside the starting lineup rather than pivoting over to Brian Thomas, because I don't know if Thomas fits your lineup. Now, Commando G-Man here for the flex. Probably going to go ahead and take Devonta Smith over DJ Moore and T. Higgins at this point. Like, it's brutal. I have to start T. Higgins myself, but I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Now, Ethereum trading CMC for Chase. I mean, no, I don't care. As long as it's a redraft format, it's not a dynasty league. For the love of God, make sure you go ahead and make sure you keep CMC here. Please. Now, Brins is able. For the flex, I'm going to take Chase Brown over Higgins. Both are suffering from garbage offenses. But if we're looking at Chase Brown, at least we can say, like, he's getting volume in a garbage offense. T. Higgins hasn't even been getting volume in the bad offense. Okay. Now, Zazo is trading Waddle, A.J. Brown, Xavier Worthy for Harrison, Pickens, London. You're upgrading 3 spots. So for sure, I would do this. 100%. Okay, so let's refresh this. Jay Thomas with our next start sit. I think you just got to go ahead and you got to take Scat here. Like, Scat and Pollard are probably going to get a similar amount of volume. But if we were looking at Scat, you're 1 in a better offense, and 2, I think the receiving usage is maybe going to be a little bit better. Or at least that's what we've seen so far this year. What's very frustrating is because Pollard back in the day used to actually get involved as a receiver quite often. But Cam Ward has not been targeting Pollard whatsoever. Now, Ravens fan JC, I'm still going to play Chase over Egbuka myself. And then here we're going to go we're going to go Jordan Mason and Egbuka here for the flexes. But please, Jordan Mason is an auto start. If you have him, you got to get him in. Now, Wicked Ducks says, I've already requested this. Doesn't seem like it went through. 2-1 with no flex. We actually, I believe, answered this earlier in the live stream. So real quick, like, never think that, like, I missed answering a question of yours. Like, don't feel like you need to send in a second submission. I promise you, I'll go ahead and I'll get it for you. It just, we go in the order that we receive them. So maybe it'll just take us a little bit of time. I would still rather have Chase Brown over David Montgomery. Like, if you're looking at Chase Brown, you're getting the 20 opportunities a game. The offense is absolutely garbage. Don't get me wrong. But it is such a small sample. Now, Dubium with our next one. So, Amari Hampton versus Dobbins and Judkins. I will take Amari Hampton here. Now, Danny Cook here at wide receiver. Give me Ricky Pierce. So you give me Ricky Pearsall and Flowers, and I think you bench Ladd McConkey. Now, Daniel Reneso. Give me Jordan Mason at running back, wide receiver Jamar Chase, and then the flex. Dear God, you have so many strong options. I want to play Hampton. I want to play Pickens. I'd probably go with Amari and Hampton. Chargers are massive favorites. They should be able to run the ball here against the Giants. Hampton's getting used as a receiver. Like, I'm trying to think why we wouldn't want Hampton. Because also you get the floor with Hampton as well. If he's the only running back in Los Angeles, you have both the ceiling and the floor at the same time. Now, Nate is going to be our next one. Currently on the bench, our best options probably Trevion, which I'm not putting Trevion in over these guys. I think you leave this as is. Now, come on, man. Here at quarterback, give me Daniel Jones over Geno Smith. Looks like Jaden Daniels isn't playing. Going over to the flex, I think you play Ashton Jeanty here easily. I'm going Jeanty over Worthy. I'm going him over Waddle. Going him over Diggs. Ryan trading Hampton, Lamb, Xavier Worthy for Chase, Ricky Pearsall, RJ Harvey. Worthy to Pearsall upgrade, Lamb and Hampton to Harvey and Jamar. Here's the thing, like Harvey long-term play, Lamb long-term play. So if like the reason you're doing this is the CeeDee Lamb injury screwed us, where we're like 1-2 and we need points right now, I guess you'd still have the running back production to put in. You can make this deal. I don't love it, but I do like the fact that we are getting like the additional upgrade from Worthy to Pearsall. Okay. Now y'all seen with our next one. For the flex, we currently have Brian Thomas in. I would take out Brian Thomas for sure if you could just go ahead and get in George Pickens. Feels like it would be a no-brainer to get Pickens in, even in a tough matchup against the Packers when you have no Lamb. Bitter Hornet trading Torrey Horton for Blake Corum. Yeah, I would for sure rather have Blake Corum. Bucci trading Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Jefferson for Scat, Gibbs, and A.J. Brown. Taylor to Gibbs, lateral move. Jefferson to A.J. Brown, downgrade. Dobbins to Scat, upgrade. I think it's a fair trade. I think it's going to be up to you, though. I'm not going to mark either side as the winner. Now, Shane trading the big Q for Drake London. I will be ridiculously rich if Quentin Johnston ends up outscoring Drake London so far this season. But also at the same time, I would be surprised if that does happen. So if I had Quentin Johnston in a redraft league right now, I'd sell him for Drake London in a heartbeat. Now, G-Salt with our next one. Here, quarterback, I'm going to go Daniel Jones over Fields, even if Fields plays, which looks like it should be the assumption. And then for the flex, I would go full PPR. I would go Godwin over Ayo Manor, where Ayo Manor projects being the worst offense in the league this week. Okay. Zadie trading Judkins and Puka for Taylor and Pickens. Puka to Taylor, downgrade. Judkins to Pickens, upgrade. Positional swaps. Fair deal. Going to be up to you. Next one's going to be D. Morrow. Here for the flex, we currently have Stephon Diggs in. If we were to get somebody in instead, it probably would be Juwan Jennings. Obviously, we don't know if Jennings is going to be good to go just yet. We know Purdy's going to play. If Jennings plays instead of Purdy, I would go ahead and I would get him in and take out Stephon Diggs. But I'm fine if you wanted to play Diggs over Kirk, though. Assuming Jennings misses. Now, Cryptic here for the flex. Half PBR format, so I think we're going to go with Xavier Worthy and Nick Chubb. Typically don't love Chubb. Obviously, no receiving upside whatsoever. But this is a game in which you do have the Texans favored quite heavily, like by over a touchdown. So there's a good shot that they're able to just run the ball in the second half. Here, Bitter Hornet, I know that we really are going out there and trying to trade for that running back too. But if you were to send Tyler Warren for Quinshawn, I think you're just losing too much value. Now, this is another trade. It's going to be Chase Brown, Rashee Rice for Jordan Mason and Egbuka. So Rice take Buka, lateral move up to you. So here's the thing. I think that this is very clear cut and dry. If you need points right now, if you have a losing record, I think you go ahead and I think that you take the Jordan Mason and Nick Buka side. This is for sure going to be the much, much better play over the next month. However, if you're 3-0, if you're 2-1, I probably prefer the Rashee Rice side. Actually, I'd probably only prefer the Rice side if you are 3-0. But if you need wins right now, then yeah, you can go ahead and you can take the Buka and Jordan Mason side of this. Again, if you need wins now. Bitter Hornet trading Mason and Rashee Rice for, Brown and Rice for Jordan Mason and Trey McBride. Yeah, I like this for sure. This is my favorite deal for you to go get a better running back. I know a lot of people are asking, like, how do you get these teams and questions and stuff? It's all through the site. Right now, we have it where you cannot buy questions from us just because we are too far backed up. We give out a bunch of free questions in the live streams that we're doing literally every single day. Just make sure you go ahead and drop a like on the live stream, subscribe to the channel. And whenever we ask, every 100 likes we hit, we'll go like, oh, drop your flockfantasy.com usernames in the chat. People will drop their names in the chat. Then we'll go ahead and we'll send out free questions for people to get in on the live streams. But yeah, make sure you just essentially have an account on the site. Use code FLOCK when you sign up in case you win those free questions. You can also get guaranteed free questions by taking advantage of the offer that we have on Underdog Fantasy. Or if you sign up to Underdog Fantasy with code FLOCK, you will get free vouchers sent to your flockfantasy.com account. They just have to have the same email address on your flockfantasy.com account as your Underdog Fantasy account. Let's see. And this is what Underdog Fantasy is. And Underdog's also running some pretty big promos as well. That after you play your first $5, you're going to get $100 added to your Underdog account as well if you use code FLOCK. Jada Tiger says, worried about Gonzalez for Tet, Juwan back for Ridley. I'm not too worried about Christian Gonzalez. Fun fact, I've actually interviewed Christian Gonzalez. I'm going to take Gonzalez, and I'm going to take probably Ricky Pearsall if Brock Purdy's good to go, which it sounds like he will be. Now, Jack trading Lamar and Nico for Chase and Genty. Give me Chase over Nico. Give me Lamar over Genty. How bad do you need a running back? You don't need a running back that bad. I'd probably keep the Lamar side. Now, Jimmy Joey trading J-Mo for Metcalf. I'd rather have Metcalf. Marked DJ. I think I would play Judy over Ridley at this point. And go Gainwell if Jalen Warren doesn't play, but it sounds like Jalen Warren is going to be good to go. Okay. So let's move this over to our next question. This is the Boulder BD. We're going to go Kyron at running back. Tight end, give me Hunter Henry over Andrews. And then in the flex, Tet Javonte is going to be the question. So if you look at Javonte, you get the guaranteed workload, which is obviously nice that we have the floor. The issue that you'll have with Javonte specifically is the matchup against the Packers, and it's a full PPR format, so I'll probably go Tet for that reason. But let's go ahead and let's refresh this. And it looks like we just hit 600 likes on the stream, so let's go ahead and let's send out some more free questions. So again, if you want to qualify for those free questions, drop a like on the stream and drop your username in the chat. And it looks like we're pretty much caught up on the majority of start sit and trades. So let's swing this back over and start looking at some of those team reviews again. And I think Vision's going to be our next one. But as I get that pulled up, we can also pick one of y'all to win those free questions. Okay. Let's see this for Vision. Okay, we got that pulled up. Now let's send out a free question for somebody. We'll send this out to Slum. See if I can find you on the site, my friend. Just got you and just sent you over that free start set question. Really appreciate you hanging out with us in this stream. Now let's move this over and let's look at this team for Vision. We are 5th in the standings at the moment. We are 1-2. We've scored 357 points, which is actually one of the highest marks in this league. This is a league in which you're going to start 1 flex spot and 2 wide receivers. So the depth here at wide receiver is not going to matter much. So I would love to have the elite quarterback. I would love to have the elite tight ends. QB, we currently are rolling with Baker Mayfield. Are we that excited about it? Not particularly. Down on the bench, we don't have another quarterback. So, I mean, realistically, if you had a QB off waivers, like if Brock Purdy was dropped, if Justin Fields was dropped, not that I'm going to play those guys over Baker, but I do think that they would be worth a roster spot. So, I would consider dropping maybe one of the names on the bench that we have, like Brian Robinson, to go ahead and pick up that second quarterback. Now, looking at what we have at running back, we have James Cook and Trey Benson. So, solid RB1, solid RB2. We have RJ Harvey for the long-term upside, Rachaad White premium handcuff back. So, running back, I think is great. Wide receiver, we have St. Brown, we have Devonta Smith, we have Quentin Johnston, and then we have the CeeDee Lamb and the George Kittle injuries. And then we have Tucker Kraft at tight end. So here's the thing, man. You're 1-2. I know maybe we're unlucky to be 1-2. Maybe we should be much better than this. But I think you got to sell one of the injured guys. You got to get some points in this starting lineup right now. So what I would look to do in that instance is I think I'd probably sell George Kittle. The reason being is like, we do have the ability to jam in Tucker Kraft through the rest of the season, right? So you don't necessarily need Kittle here. So if you could send Kittle and like Quentin Johnston, or send Kittle and Devonta Smith and get a much better wide receiver for the short term, I think that'd be really strong. Especially like if you can send Devonta Smith and George Kittle and go get to a wide receiver like A.J. Brown. Obviously, you can get to Chase, Jefferson, Nico, et cetera, we would love it. But even if you could just get to A.J. Brown, and then once we have Lamb back in the long term, we're starting like St. Brown, Lamb, A.J. Brown. It's going to be insane. So that's the play that I think you got to make on your team. If you're 2-1, you can maybe just have the subpar starting lineup until he came back. But I think you got to see if we can find a team that is willing to buy the long-term upside that you get with Kittle. Or you could see if you could sell Tucker Kraft instead in a similar type trade if you really like George Kittle and you don't want to make that deal. And then you just pick up Hunter Henry from the waiver wire. But I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way with this. And again, thank you so much for being a member of the flock, my guy. Now, Ford Brock with our next question. We have, I just traded Garrett Wilson for Jamar. Phenomenal. Now I have Chase Brown and Jamar. I'd like to pivot off Chase Brown. Okay, so here's the thing. I think pivoting off Chase Brown in general is a good move. But the reason I can't like throw Chase Brown into a sell high video is Is there a single person on this planet trading for Chase Brown right now? I don't think so. So realistically, I think you just got to roll with the Cincinnati Bengals guys. We're 2-1, scored 388 points. So we're second in this league in points scored. It's a league in which you can get up to 6 combined running backs and receivers into your starting lineup. We have Chase, we have Jefferson, we have Jacobs, we have Chase, we have Pearsall to throw in the flex, Olave to throw in the other flex spot. We have the long-term play with Rashee Rice. We have Kyler and Caleb to play the matchups with at quarterback at the moment. I absolutely love what you have with this team. I think the only thing that we would say with this team is, like, if you get a big spike from Chase Brown and you are able to eventually go through and sell Chase Brown and pivot to a different running back with a combination of maybe somebody like Chris Olave down there in the flex, let's do it. But to make a 2-for-1 deal, what I would probably prefer to do with your team is wait until we get Rashee Rice back in. Because once you get Rashee Rice back in, you'll have that expendable wide receiver depth where our team can really, like, get by with making one of those moves. So in general, I like the idea, but I think you probably just have to wait until Rice comes back, because then at that point, you're going to have a lot more flexibility with the team. But then maybe if you actually change your mind on it and you're fine with Chase Brown being your running back too, even though you have Jamar Chase, maybe you wait until Rashee Rice comes back, and then you go ahead and you send a wide receiver with Kyler Murray to get to an elite QB. But I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way with this. And again, thank you so much for being a member of the flock, my guy. Now let's move this over to Creamy Baby. Says, I traded Ladd and Mooney for Debo and Pickens after week 2. I just don't know where to go in terms of upgrading the running back wide receiver slot. So here's the thing. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. So the depth at the bottom doesn't particularly matter. Just the top end production does. We are near the bottom of this league with points scored. However, we are 2-1 and near the top of the league in terms of value on the roster. Now, again, absolutely love having the elite quarterback and the elite tight end on a team that's 2-1, right? If you are 2-1, then you're in a spot in which we can afford to go through and we can afford to think a little more long-term. But we have Hurts, we have McBride, their auto starts. You're going to make up a very high percentage of our starting lineup output weekly. Looking at what we have at running back, we have Bucky Irving, we have Ashton Genty. So solid RB1, solid RB2, RJ Harvey, long-term upside piece. Going over to receiver, we have Pickens, we have Igbuka, we have Debo. We can throw Debo into the flex, especially with the Terry injury. Pickens, Igbuka crushing at receiver at the moment. We have the long-term upside of Luther Burden. I would say, like, realistically, it does seem as if you're most likely going to be able to actually get back in Joe Mixon sooner than you would get back Jaden Reed. So I would probably cut Jaden Reed and pick up Joe Mixon instead. And then obviously, if you could sell Hunter Henry and George Pickens to go get a wide receiver upgrade. If you could sell like Drake May and Debo Samuel to go get a better wide receiver, by all means do it. But I like your team a lot. I think you're in a really good spot going into the future. I don't necessarily think you have enough depth for us to go out there and make a play for somebody like Rashee Rice. Even though it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, you probably got to hold off on that. Mainly because if you're looking at, like, I mean, you have Worthy, but we're waiting for, like, once RJ Harvey breaks out, then maybe at that point you can go through and you can, like, say that we have a little more flexibility to go aggressively get an elite wide receiver 1. But it's not like the depth is that strong right now. Xavier Worthy's a little bit questionable coming back from the injury. While at the same time, like RJ Harvey's doing nothing. So I think you just simply cut Jaden Reed, pick up Joe Mixon, and keep crushing, my guy. But let me send you over some free questions just in case there's anything else that you wanted to follow up with. Now, let's move this over to our next one. This is going to be from D-Bay. Says 1 and 2, afraid of being 1 and 3, offer Ginty for Quentin Johnston. Do I take it? I would way rather have Ashton Ginty over Quentin Johnston. Do I trade block Chase or is it still too early? Here's the thing. Again, with Chase, who the hell's buying him? Obviously, I wish I was smart enough to invent a time machine to go back before the Burrow injury and tell you, like, hey, throw Chase on the trade block. Burrow's about to go down. This offense is about to be garbage. It's really going to hurt Jamar, or it's really going to hurt Chase Brown, whoever it may be. But the fact of the matter is, your league mates know that Burrow's done. Your league mates know that Chase is garbage. So from most trades that I've seen, I've actually kind of preferred the Jamar Chase side, at least as of this week. Now, this is a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. So quarterback matters a ton. Tight end matters a ton. We have Lamar Jackson. We have George Kittle. Love to see it. I would quickly trade Quentin Johnston for Ashton Ginty if you could. And at the same time, I would quickly cut Tyquan Thornton and pick up RJ Harvey. So cut Tyquan Thornton, pick up RJ Harvey. I would even cut Jackson Dart. You have Lamar Jackson. There are solid QBs on the waiver wire. You got Brock Purdy out there. You got Justin Fields out there. So when week 7 comes around, you realistically could just pick up a quarterback if we needed to. I mean, obviously we will need to with the Lamar bye. But I would cut Dart and I would pick up Travis Hunter, where obviously Hunter's looked horrible. But at the same time, we can say that he's the number 2 overall draft pick. So who knows if he is going to eventually improve, right? You'd assume. So cut Thornton, cut Dart, pick up Hunter, pick up Harvey. Obviously, if you could, I would sell Quentin Johnston and I would go out there and I would get Ashton Ginty. But I really appreciate it. I mean, I think it's stupid simple what you do here. And you're going to have a phenomenal team. Let me send you over some free questions in case there's anything else that you want to follow up with. But looks like I'm actually going to have to sign out and sign back in. So as I do this, I will remind you all, of course, that if you have not done so already, please make sure you go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Every 100 likes, we are giving out some free questions. Be subscribed to the channel. You can tell the majority of the questions that we answer in all these live streams are free questions. And we're streaming every single day answering fantasy football questions until Christmas. But let me see. This was for D-Bay. D-Bay, I just sent you over those free questions in case you wanted to follow up with anything for your team, my friend. But let's move this over to our next team. This is going to be from Hunter, who says, a little late, but congrats on the engagement. Thank you so much, my guy. Love the content. Trades I've done in order. 1, received Rome, Olave, Pitts, Ferg, Javante. Traded away McBride, Waddle, Trevion. McBride to Rome, downgrade. Waddle to Olave, upgrade. Trevion for Pitts, Ferg, Javante, upgrade. Received Jefferson, Achane, and traded away Bucky, QJ, Olave, Mason. Like that one a lot. So funny team name here. All right, let's go ahead and let's check this out. We are second in the league analyzer in value. The team at the top is loaded. Team at the top as McBride, St. Brown, JSN, CMC, Lamar. We've scored 390 points. We are third in the league analyzer in terms of value. We are in a league in which you can start up to 6 combined running backs and wide receivers weekly. So the depth at the skill positions is going to matter a bit. Now, looking at what we have when it comes to quarterback, we have Bo Nix. Beyond Bo at QB, you have Dart, Penix, Lawrence out there on waivers. I would probably go ahead and drop Hollywood Brown now that Xavier Worthy's back for Jackson Dart. Obviously, the assumption is you're going to be playing Bo Nix over Dart most weeks, but it's not like we can say that Bo Nix has looked any good so far this season. So just to have that additional out would be nice. Going over and looking at what we have at running back. We have Achane, we have Javonte, we have Judkins. So completely fine here. We got a solid RB1, RB2, RB3. We have JCM as well as Brian Robinson for long-term upside. Like having the elite handcuff here obviously is nice. Looking at wide receiver, we have Chase, Jefferson, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. We have Rome in one flex, JMO. Actually, we probably have Judkins in the other. We have Rice for the long-term upside. Love to see it. Jake Ferg's the tight end 1 right now, and looks like that's not changing anytime soon considering how strong of an option he's going to be with no Lamb. So this is a really strong team. I would say that a lot of times 1 and 2 roster, you probably want to go through, especially in a league where the depth matters, trade Rashee Rice and go get an upgrade somewhere. And you maybe wanted to send like Rice and Bo Nix to get a better QB. But realistically, that's not necessarily something that you're going to need to do here. Because Judkins breaking out, it's actually going to give us that additional viable flex. So you can afford to wait until we get Rashee Rice back. So honestly, I love this team. I'm not doing anything with this team. Once Rice is back, then maybe at that point, you go ahead and you try to send Judkins and Bo Nix to get a QB upgrade. You try to send JMO and Bo Nix to get a QB upgrade. But for now, I think you leave this as is, my friend. But I really appreciate you. Let me send you over some free questions in case there's anything you wanted to follow up with this. But I think your team's incredible after the trades that you've made, to be honest. Specifically because you can start 4 receivers here weekly. And it's a full PPR format. Now, let's move this over to Hunter. So second team review. This is the home league with 8 total people. Really looking to package up the running back room. Also, willing to take the risk and trade away neighbors if Dart doesn't perform. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you, my friend. We are number 1 in the league analyzer in value. We've scored 425 points, so we are second in the league in points scored. However, we are only 1 and 2, so we've been unlucky so far this year. Now, in general, this is a spot in which you would say the depth isn't going to be super important because it's an 8-team format. You can look at options on the waiver wires, including Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Zach Charbonnet. So like you can see in my rankings, like as an example, I have Quentin Johnston ranked ahead of Zach Charbs, right? But in an 8-team format where you have Puka Nacua, Malik Neighbors, Cortland Sutton, Egbuka, is there any real world in which you're actively deciding to put Quentin Johnston into your starting lineup? I'd probably say no. So as crazy as this sounds, I wouldn't do this in most leagues because obviously with Kenneth Walker healthy, Quentin Johnston's a much better play than what you have with Zach Charbs. But I would probably go ahead and I would probably cut Quentin Johnston and pick up Charbonnet. If Walker goes down, then all of a sudden Sharp turns into a league winner. Quarterback, we have Hurts, solid quarterback, even in an 8-team league. Tyler Warren, tight end, solid tight end, even in an 8-team format. Wide receiver, Puka, Neighbors, Sutton, Igbuka. 4 solid guys. I think you're only going to need a roster 5 with Marv as your 5th name. And then running backs start Jordan Mason and Josh Jacobs in the short term. Long term, obviously, you're going to be looking at the other running backs like Javonte Benson. So this kind of goes without being said, but obviously, like, the only position that would be interesting whatsoever, 2 upgrades, going to be running back. And if this was a 12-team league, I mean, it would be, you would have so many trades at your disposal by just selling running back depth. But 8-team format, nobody's going to need the RB depth. We can still go out there and we can try to send 2-for-1 deals. You can try to send Javonte Williams and Chase Brown to go get Kyron Williams. You can try to send Chase Brown and Josh Jacobs to go out there and get like Devon Achane. You can go for it. Like, obviously we're not needing the most immaculate upgrades ever. If you can just get any upgrades whatsoever in your starting lineup, it's going to be worth it because you can go over to the waiver wire and you can just pick up Corey Cross-Gamera and Zach Charbonnet for free. But overall, it's a great team. You're second in the league in points scored. You're first in the league in value. I would love to do a 2-for-1 tier up to upgrade at running back if possible, which you already know. I don't think you want to trade any of your receivers, to be honest. And then, like I said, as crazy as it is, I think you probably only want to roster 5 receivers. So, I mean, if you could sell Quentin Johnston for literally anything at all, I would. But if not, in your format with your team specifically, I wouldn't hate if you wanted to roster Sharps instead, because, like, if Walker goes down, Sharps for sure hits your lineup, where I don't see a world in which the big Q does here, sadly. But you could also wait for the big Q to have a disappointing game because so far he's just been elite, right? But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. Now, let me send you over some free questions just in case there's anything else that you wanted to follow up with. Now, let's move this over to our next question. It's going to be from F. Derek. It says, who would you recommend I move off of, either running back depth or an RB upgrade? 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, 12-team format. We are 3rd in the league analyzer in value. We're 1 and 2. We are 8th in the league in total points so far. But the reason why we have a more valuable roster than points that we've actually been scoring is we do have Rice suspended and we have Kittle injured, right? So obviously we're going to assume that in the long term, this team's much better than it is right now. We have Goff and Love at quarterback. A 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. Generally, I would like to have an elite quarterback if possible. Looking at what we have when it comes to I forgot to show y'all this as well. I don't know if y'all saw, but if you're a paid member of the site, you can actually see all our updated rankings whenever you want in tier list format. So all you got to do is, if you got the season pass, you have access to this, sort by a specific creator, and then you can go ahead and hit this little toggle up here, which will change it from regular view to tier list view. So if y'all ever wanted to go through and look at that. Okay. But anyway, yeah, it's live now. I completely forgot to mention that to y'all. I'm sorry. I probably should do that earlier in the stream tomorrow. Looking at running back, we have Genty and Benson as auto starts. Wide receiver, we have Puka and Harrison. Harrison, obviously, a little more of a sketchy start. We have Devonta Smith in the flex. Here's the play with your team. You're 1-2. You need points in the lineup now. Your wide receiver 2 is subpar. Your running back 1 subpar. Your flex is subpar. So here's what you got to do, man. You got to sell Kittle. I hate to say it, but we don't want to fall to 1-3. Like 1-2 is not bad. 1-3 is bad. I'm assuming we started Marv this week, of course. Which if you started Marv, we start off pretty strong. But long term here, if you could sell like Kittle and Ashton Genty to get to a true RB1, go like Genty and Kittle and go get Achane. Then, or maybe you sell Kittle and Devonta Smith and you go get to a true wide receiver 1. Like that, of course, is an option as well. Okay. The waiver wire wise, your league mates know what they're doing. There aren't any like free ads for us out there. I guess Harold Fannin would probably be the best ad, but obviously we don't need a tight end unless we sell Kittle. So I think Kittle's the expendable piece. I think you got to send Kittle and somebody in your starting lineup to go get an upgrade. Nobody's interested in Kittle. I think you got to sell Rice, but obviously I'm hesitant to tell you to sell Rice because Rice is the freaking dude. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. Now let's move this over to our next one. It's going to be from Hannah. It says, hey Mason, love your content. Keep up the good work, buddy. I'm 0-3 and I know I have some running back, some depth pieces to trade. I really need a running back since Chase Brown is a bust. Do you have any suggestions? My league mates are also very stubborn. If we're 0-3, you have to change your mindset entirely. We are no longer looking at long-term value. If you have Kittle, you have Rice, you have Lamb, any of those names, they are immediate sells to get points in your starting lineup right now. Like I'm worried about what these guys are going to look like over the next 3 weeks. That's my number one priority. Looking at what we have at quarterback, we are currently sitting with Jalen Hurts and Jared Goff. So QB, completely fine. It's a league in which you can start up to 6 skill positional players weekly. So quarterback is going to make up a slightly lower percentage of your starting lineup output. Tight end, we have the tight end 1 in fantasy with Kade Ferg. Obviously excited about that. Running back, we have Gibbs, Achane. RB1, RB2, incredible. Like we have the 3rd best running back room in this league. Wide receiver, we have London, Wilson, Pearsall, Devonta Smith. We can jam. I love your team. I would cut Troy Franklin. I'd pick up Blake Corum. I don't think necessarily, like in my mind, I don't necessarily think you need to worry about trading for a running back. Like I would view Chase Brown just as a flex play, right? Almost similar to Ricky Pearsall. Which I understand he's been a very, very bad. You can blame it on the Bengals offensive line. You can blame it on the Bengals offense in general. But fact of the matter is he just simply isn't producing. Looking at what we have when it comes to the depth at wide receiver, maybe we just have too many names here. And if you were worried about running back, you pick up these guys like Blake Corum, Ray Davis, Caleb Johnson that are an injury away from making a pretty big difference for you. Going through and looking at options with waivers elsewhere, like I don't think you really need to be making many trades. Like if I'm trying to think if there's anything that could possibly make sense for you here. We're 0-3, so again, I want to sell long-term assets to get points in the lineup right now, but you don't necessarily have any long-term assets on this roster. Like, what player can we say, like, oh, that's a better long-term piece than short-term? You don't have Mike Evans. You don't have Lamb. You don't have Kittle. You don't have Rice. You don't have Godwin. You have a well-constructed team. Again, I wish I had a time machine so I could go back and tell you, like, hey, yeah, probably don't draft Chase Brown. But, like, it's not like your league mates would get super excited if you offered them Chase Brown. You're going like, oh, yeah, cool. I remember when Chase Brown was an RB1. Let me go get him. Like, nobody's going to want to trade Chase Brown at this point. So I think realistically, you're rolling with this team into the future, my guy. This week, I'd start Hurts, I'd start Gibbs, I'd start Achane, I'd start London, I'd start Wilson, I'd start Ferg, and then 2 flex spots, and probably starting Sticky Ricky and Chase Brown. And sending up a prayer that Chase Brown is able to do something, despite obviously so far this year being one of the worst or most disappointing players in fantasy. But overall, your team's constructed well. If it was a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, I'd be trying to upgrade the flex by trading a depth receiver, but you can start these depth players. So I'm going to send you over some free questions in case like any trades come across your table or if there's anything that you want me to take a look at. I'd be super happy to check it out for you. Now, let's move this over to our next one. This is going to be from Kade. It says, hey, Mason, between Lamb and Bryant Thomas Jr., the team has fallen down 4 spots in the rankings. I don't think I could trade Bryant Thomas Jr. at this point. Hampton and Judkins are improving, and Lamb will be back in a few weeks. Should I wait for production or make a trade now? What position should we target to improve? It's a 2-player keeper league. Congrats on 3. Now, appreciate you, my friend. And I'll say 2-player keeper league, mainly just treating it as if it's a redraft format. But yeah, we're down at 7th in the league analyzer and value at this point. We're 1-2. We've scored the 2nd fewest points in this league. But if you're 0-3, I would say at that point, oh, it's time to panic. You need to sell CeeDee Lamb. You need to get points in this lineup right this second. However, if you are 1-2 instead, you have a little more flexibility here, right? We're not as worried. Now, looking at what we have at quarterback, we have Caleb. Caleb's not in the tier of guys that will be a must-start player for you no matter what. Like Caleb, more so you're looking at, in my opinion, the range of QBs where you want to roster 2 of them and you want to play the matchups. So looking at what we have with the options on waivers, Jackson Dart out there is interesting. Now, in terms of the players that I could tell you to drop, like Loveland's probably the only drop on your team. Looking at what we have at running back, we have Hampton, Brees, Judkins. So solid at RB. So our starting lineup this week is Hampton, Brees at running back, Sutton, Igbuka, wide receiver. We have Judkins in 1 flex, probably Brian Thomas in the other. We have Hunter and Brandon Ayuk for the long-term upside. Hunter Henry at tight end. So despite the Lamb injury, it's not like your team's toast. Like, we're still in it. Don't get me wrong. I don't think we're in a great spot by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not horrendous. Going over and looking at the waiver wire options, like your players at the bottom of your bench are much better than the options on waivers. I think I don't say eventually. There are 2 different paths this team takes. We win this week, we're chilling. We win this week, we wait until CeeDee Lamb comes back. Once Lamb is back, then at that point we can sell a depth wide receiver with Hunter Henry to get to an elite tight end. We can try to sell Igbuka and Hunter Henry in 3 weeks and go and get George Kittle if George Kittle's back and playing and he looks well. But obviously we can't afford to sell any of these receivers. We can't afford to sell any of these running backs until we get CeeDee Lamb back. So that is one path. We win this week. We're able to hold out for Lamb to return. Once Lamb does return, we sell a depth wide receiver. We go get an upgrade in one of the onesies. whether that's quarterback or whether that's tight end. The other path is you lose this week. We label you as certifiably cooked. And you may need to go through and you may need to actually instead, if you're 1-3, sell CeeDee Lamb and Caleb Williams and go get an elite quarterback right now. Sell CeeDee Lamb and Hunter Henry and go get an elite tight end right now. But since you're 1-2, I do think you have a little bit of flexibility where you don't have to make that trade right this second. Because obviously if you sell Lamb at the moment, you are, or even a week from now, you are just not going to be getting a good return. So I would hold out hope. I think your team's really good in terms of value on the roster. Obviously, it hurts a ton not having Lamb. But the onesies aren't going to matter as much as the depth here in this league because it's going to be a start 8 format. But I really appreciate you. Let me send you over some free questions just in case there's anything that you want to follow up with. And also, it looks like we just hit 700 likes on the stream. So let me go ahead and send out some free questions to somebody in the chat as well. Again, all you got to do to get those free questions in the chat will be go down there, drop a like on this stream, be subscribed to the channel, and drop your flockfantasy.com username in the chat. Now, let's check this out for ETZ. But we are also going to be sending out free questions. So I need to pull that up on the site real quick. Just give me 1 second to do so I can send somebody a free question. All right. So let's send this out to the Birdie 101. I cannot find you, my friend. I don't know. Is it the bird or the birdie? It's the birdie. I don't know if you used code FLOCK when you signed up to the site, but I can only find accounts with code FLOCK on my users page. If you didn't use code FLOCK, you can add it on your account page. Mosh Joan, I just found you and I just sent you over a free start set question. Really appreciate you hanging out with us in this stream. Now, this is going to be for ETZ. Off to a rough start, but I like my team for the most part. Just a couple of injuries. What do you suggest I try to do currently being 0-3? Thanks, Mason. Love the content. Really appreciate you. So we are 6th in terms of value. Like you said, we are 0-3. We have scored the fewest amount of points in this league. So sound the alarms. You have to sell CeeDee Lamb. I mean, running back, we're great. We have the most valuable running back room in this league. We're starting Bucky, Derrick Henry, and then Amari and Hampton in the flex every week. Tight end, we have Jake Ferg. Quarterback, we have Bo Nix, Dak Prescott. So it's a good team, don't get me wrong. But realistically speaking, you can't afford to lose over the next 3 weeks. You need points in your starting lineup. So what we need to do is we just need to go out there and immediately throw CeeDee Lamb on the trade block. And another player that we could say that's like exciting in the long term, but isn't really much in the short term, is going to be RJ Harvey. So I would say RJ Harvey will also be somebody that I'd maybe try to send in a package with CeeDee Lamb. Where if we can pivot over to another wide receiver that maybe is comparable to Lamb, like look at Nico Collins, look at Jefferson, look at Chase, and send RJ Harvey as a premium tax, or maybe if a team's currently sitting at 3-0, they'd be happy to send Nico Collins for RJ Harvey and CeeDee Lamb. Whereas for us, it would dramatically improve our starting lineup where we could just go out there and we could jam in Bo Nix at quarterback this week, Bucky, Derrick Henry at running back, Nico Sutton at wide receiver, Ferg at tight end, and stay in the fight and make sure we don't lose this week and fall to 0-3. So I would try my best to get some short-term value for CeeDee Lamb, even if it means we are selling the long-term upside. But let me send you over some free questions just in case there's anything that you want to follow up with. I'll be super happy to take a look at it for you, my friend. And let's pivot over and let's answer some of these quick questions real quick. These are going to be the trade questions, the start sit questions. Okay. This is going to be from Steffi. Trading Travis Etienne, Nico Collins for Bucky and CeeDee Lamb. I would give me Bucky over Nico, or they're about the same, and Lamb versus Etienne. Give me Lamb here easily. So, yeah, I'm going to take the CeeDee Lamb side. No question. Now, Frenchie with our next question. It's trading Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams for CMC, Jacoby, and Jerry Jeudy. This is so easily going to be CMC. Now, burner account, Bijan versus Achane and Igbuka. How bad do you need the extra receiver? We're starting Nico, Pickens, Tat, Genty, Bijan. It's a start 8 format. So I'm okay with you making this deal. But in general, I am hesitant to sell somebody like Bijan Robinson ever. Now, let's move this over to our next question. This is Frozone. This is Jared Goff, Travis Hunter, Sam Laporta versus Baker Mayfield, Kenneth Walker, and Travis Kelce. Goff to Baker, upgrade, not a massive one. They're both still in the range, roster 2, play based off matchups. Laporta to Kelce, give me Laporta. Etienne to Gainwell, give me Etienne by a decent margin. I'm going to take the Etienne and Laporta side. Now, Dispatcher says, should I accept this? It will leave me with Genty, Jacobs, and Sharps at running back. I'm 1-3 down bad. Okay. The big Q to Matthew Golden, up to you. How are you 1-3? Do you mean 1-2? I would way rather have Rome over Judkins. So yeah, I would go ahead and not accept this deal. Like Judkins, I really hope he crushes. Like realistically, Judkins and Quentin Johnson are some of my most drafted players. But Judkins is a first and second down running back in one of the league's worst offenses. Like for that reason, I'll trade Judkins and Tyreek for Jamar Chase as well. I really hope I'm wrong here. I really hope that Judkins is an absolute crusher. But I think it's tough to go through and act like we know that's for sure going to be the case. Okay. Now, Lucas here at running back between Javonte and Swift. I'm going to go Javonte. I really hate the matchup, though, but we're realistically going to play both running backs because I'd play the running backs with the guaranteed volume over Worthy and Pittman. Now, Mini trading Chase Brown, Brian Thomas, Pickens for Bucky and Igbuka. Brian Thomas, Igbuka, slight upgrade, Pickens, and Chase Brown to Bucky Irving. Give me Bucky Irving. So, yeah, we'll take the Bucky and Igbuka side. X-Men says, thoughts and any other trades want a top quarterback? I think it's a very reasonable trade for a top QB under the assumption that the league analyzer is correct. And this is a league in which you only start 2 receivers in a flex. And if this is a league where you only start 2 wide receivers in a flex, Lamar is going to absolutely crush for you. Now, Wilson says he wants Caleb and Etienne. I need a roster spot. Okay, Kelce to Kincaid. Slight upgrade. DJ Moore to Terry. Slight upgrade. Etienne to Hendo downgrade. You need to open up a roster spot. We have 3 QBs. Henderson and Terry aren't startable in the short term. So we have Derrick Henry, Benson, St. Brown, Tyreek, Chase Brown. So you have startable names. You're okay to make this deal, but I definitely don't think that this is definitely a trade you lose in the short term for sure. Terry's injured. Hendo's just upside at this point with no guarantee. So short term, you lose this deal. But if you're comfortable with the long-term risk, looking at your roster, I think you can afford it. Okay. Now, Sergio with our next one. Here for the flex, right now we have Judkins on the bench. I'd leave him on the bench. I think you leave your lineup as is. A Manifest Destiny. Quarterback, it's May or Fields. I think if you wanted to play May, you can keep it stupid simple. Going over and looking at what we have at running back. Give me Chase Brown. And then for the flex, full PPR, Brian Thomas Judkins, not easy. Like, if it was non-PPR format, I'd for sure go ahead and take Judkins. I'm going to go Brian Thomas in a full PPR format, though, because, again, I will reiterate, if we are looking at Judkins, first and second down running back in one of the league's worst offenses. Now, Lexerosity is currently 1-2, not quite sold on ETN. Let me know. Okay. Kyron to ETN downgrade. But you get Romaduzzi. Yeah, you have to make this. You have to make this deal. I'm not sold on ETN either, but if you get JCM and Tootin as like long-term upside shots at running back anyway, like if ETN doesn't perform, it probably means Tootin did well, right? So yeah, I think you can go ahead. I think that you can take the ETN side of this. A dog says, hey Mason, thanks for taking time to look. 8-point dog in my matchup. I'm 0-3 and no luck with trades. Godspeed, brother. I'm going to go Hunter Henry at tight ends. And then you need, and I mean you need to try to make a trade. I would be in the ear of every owner in your league. Every single one. I mean, man, you got Evans. You got Lamb. You got Rice. We're 0-3. We need to sell one of these players for somebody we can put in this lineup right now. As of now, you're starting freaking Zach Ertz in the flex spot. But we need to sell these wide receivers for something we can get in. You've just been brutalized. Mark says he's stingy with Lamar. I offered Mason and Herbert for Lamar and Wandale, and he declined. I think you're paying too much here if you do this. I mean, I like the idea of getting the elite quarterback in your format, but yeah. Give me the Justin Herbert and Bucky side. You need a better receiver than DJ Moore. DJ Moore is not usable. Now, BC Caleb says, just got JJ in this deal. Sort of regret it. What are your thoughts? 10-team league? I think you probably prefer JJ. Judkins, first and second down running back in the league's worst offense. Tet in a garbage offense. DJ Moore getting 5 targets a game. So yeah, I think you can go Jefferson. Now the Scoots Cood trading Judkins, Nico for Taylor. Oh yeah, run to get Taylor here. Easy. Jay Smitty trading Pollard and Pearsall for Genty. I would do this. And you have a good enough wide receiver room where you're not going to miss Pearsall. So yeah, go do it. Unga Lord, here wide receiver. I'm going to go Diggs over Bateman. And then you play Pollard in the flex easily with the guaranteed volume. Phil, always happy to see you. In general, I'd probably say yes. Let me make sure that we have enough running back. Oh, yeah, my guy. You have Gibbs, Brees, Taylor, Jordan Mason, Chuba. You have 5 startable running backs. This is the exact kind of trade you want to make. I would love to trade Judkins and Smith here for Rome. The Woolies trading Barkley and Harvey for Taylor. I have Taylor ranked 1 spot over Barkley. Harvey still gives you long-term upside. So for me, like, I have Saquon Barkley on my team. Maybe I'm biased for that reason, but I would rather have the Barkley and Barkley and Harvey side. So I still believe that Harvey's going to do something. Phil, congrats on that deal. That's awesome. Dazzle trading Trey Benson for Rasheed. We have plenty of production at running back, so for sure do this. Just tiles. We have Pittman. Actually, we have Dobbins as the best option on the. If you wanted to make a pivot, you'd get Dobbins in over Javonte, but if you want to leave this in, I'm fine. Just Dobbins is a much better matchup. Reed always happy to see us. Has lost Lamb and Evans. Ugh. I'm going to go QJ over Worthy. And then you go Swift in the flex easily. Yeah, and then you play Chase Brown over like Addison, Smith, Worthy, the shaky wide receivers. Reed here, tight end. Give me Jake Ferg, tight end 1 in fantasy at the moment. And then Jordan Mason and Devonta Smith would be the other plays. But yeah, missing Lamb here too. Okay, let's see what our next one is. It's from X Jorick. Here we need 2 flexes. Give me Addison and probably Calvin. No, we have Josh Downs. We'll go Josh Downs. Calvin Austin, really tough matchup. Tuna on Rye here for the flex. This may be a. I'm probably way off. I heard this and I'm thinking it's a Benchwarmers reference. Let me see. No, it's Lilo and Stitch. Never mind. But anyway, for the flex, you have to play Jordan Mason. Like, said it last week, but we'll say it again. If anybody watching this has Jordan Mason on their bench right now, turn off this live stream and go put him in. Okay. Caleb versus Purdy. I'm going to go Caleb with the rushing upside. Running back, give me Scats. Tight end, Fan is your only healthy guy. And then we'll go London here in the flex, full PPR. Now, Mark with our next one. We're going to go Breece Hall over Brian Thomas. The Jets actually project score a decent amount of points here in this game. Higher over under than I'd expect. Anto trading Hampton and Sticky Ricky for Derrick Henry. Full PPR format. You have Nico, St. Brown, Smith, Rome, Worthy. Like, you can make this deal if you want, but I really do like Hampton, though. Michael trading Smith for Myers. Oh, yeah, I'd for sure do this. And this is coming from somebody who drafted way more Devonta Smith than Jacoby Myers this year. But let me see. I think we may call the live stream here this Friday night. We'll answer this for Mighty Planet in a second. But we are going to do a long stream tomorrow and Sunday morning. We're going to try to aim for another 6-hour stream on Sunday morning. I think we'll try to aim for a really long live stream tomorrow night as well. We've been streaming for 5 hours every single day this week. So add on all the work we got to do with the website and the videos. I've been sleeping for like 5 hours a night. It's been very, very rough. So if I can get to bed at a reasonable time tonight, I'll probably have the energy to do the stuff Saturday and Sunday. So I'm going to try to go to sleep. Usually I'm amped up a bit here. But obviously I'll be live tomorrow night. I'll be live Sunday morning. I'll be live over and over and over again every single day until Christmas answering your fantasy football questions. The majority of the questions I answer are completely free. You can win them by just hanging out with us in the live stream and being subscribed to the channel. Or also if you want to get guaranteed free questions that you can send in to these streams. If you take advantage of the newest offer on Underdog Fantasy, where you sign up to Underdog Fantasy and use code FLOCK, set up an account on flockfantasy.com with the same email address, and then you'll get awarded with those free questions. Plus, after you play your first $5 on Underdog Fantasy, you're going to get $100 added to your account. And they have a free Dak Prescott higher lower pick for this weekend as well. And they also have another free pick that I'm forgetting. I think it's a free Caleb Williams pick, higher lower as well. But definitely take advantage of that. Support the channel, get some free questions. And I'll leave that link in the description and comment section. Underdog is available in pretty much every state. And then here for Mighty Planet, trading Bucky, Dobbins, Wilson for Hubbard, Neighbors. Bucky to Neighbors, lateral move. Wilson, Dobbins to Hubbard, downgrade. So give me the Bucky side. And then Mighty Planet here with another one. Wide receiver, play Garrett Wilson over Xavier Worthy. And then for the flex spot, play Dobbins over Addison for sure. Let me refresh this, see if we have any last second questions coming in. But bank with the start sit here, tight end, give me Bowers. And then in the flex, give me Ricky Pearsall. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. I really hope I get to see you out in the live stream tomorrow night. And yeah, I'll also be live on Sunday morning. If you can't make it tomorrow, we'll be answering as many questions as we possibly can. And I really appreciate you and really hope I get to see you then.